Seattle looking at Terrell Davis, it's not being macho and saying we're going to stuff the run. You just want to take away the cutback. Watch the cutback. For Seattle, Warren Moon is going to play with that fractured rib. He's going to inject it so he doesn't feel it. But how much he can move around, how much he can move in the pocket is going to be a critical key, because Broncos coordinator Greg Robinson will come after Warren Moon if he thinks he's immobile and a target.
Well, both these teams caught a break today with Kansas City's thumping out on the East Coast. Mike Shanahan's team leading the division. He's standing by with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Vern, thanks very much. Coach, last week you issued a challenge to your defense to play a complete game. They turned in probably their best performance of the season. What kind of challenge did you issue today with John Elway back and a chance at 6-0 on the line?
We're going to have to play great in all three areas, but the one area we have to improve the most is in our special teams. So the big challenge for us this week, with the type of speed they have, is really get after them in that area.
Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck. Vern, back to you.
Welcome to Seattle. The Broncos will receive. And the Seattle's Todd Peterson will kick off. Denver going from right to left. They have been explosive in the first quarters of games this year. They have scored on the opening drive 4 of their 5 victories. Peterson does have 6 touchbacks this year. In all of 1997, only 2. Vaughn Hebron is the deep man. This will be returned from the 2-yard line. Hebron cut down as he reaches the 25-yard line. The tackle is made by Deshaun Miles. John Elway injured his hamstring in back-to-back games, sat out the last 2 huge victories over Washington and Philadelphia, and he will be joined up front by Jones, Schlereth, Nalen, Dan Neal, and Harry Swain. Terrell Davis leads the National Football League in rushing. Howard Griffin supplies blocking help. Smith, McCaffrey, and Shannon Sharp, the receivers. First and 10 to the 25. Flip to the right side, McCaffrey, the inside receiver. Terrell Davis gets a block and a stiff arm, and then is dragged down after a gain of just 1. Willie Williams, number 27, the cornerback, made the tackle. Defensively for Seattle, a team built for speed and built for the turf. Sally Amua gets his second start in as many weeks. Matt LaBounty starts for Philip Daniels at left end. Linebackers are Smith, Wells, and Chad Brown. And in the secondary, keep your eye on number 24, Sean Springs. Terrell Davis knocked down immediately. Matt LaBounty, the first man there.
Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, has challenged his defense. You want to talk about challenges? They're saying, look, we're not going to stuff the run, but give Terrell Davis the straight-ahead run. Give him the edge run. Don't give him the cutback. And so far in 2 carries, just concentrate on the backside of the defense. That's what's kept Terrell onside both times.
Broncos lead the National Football League in third down conversions, 52%, but most of those are not 3rd and 9. Blitz coming. Elway with protection. Shannon Sharp has it go off his shoulder pad. The Broncos, for only the 2nd time this season, failed to score on their opening drive.
And the key of what you're going to see today out of this Seahawks defense and this Seahawks crowd is enthusiasm. You're going to see the defense attack. You're going to see the crowd go nuts and try to limit what they can do. Any way of audibles have all got to be foot signals and hand signals. It won't be verbal.
Joey Galloway will return a punt for only the 4th time this season. He has given way to Kerry Joseph. Tom Ruin kicks it back, and they will go with Galloway as a punt returner today. Ruin leads the AFC in punting with punts like that. To the 22, Galloway can return. Steps out of bounds with the Seattle ball at the Seahawk 36-yard line. And there is a flag on the far side of the field. Ed Hockley is the referee today.
During the kick, holding by the receiving team, number 34, half the distance to the goal. Seattle
welcome those of you who've been Welcome those of you who've been watching the Tennessee-Baltimore game, 12-8, the final in that one. Seattle Seahawks about to get the ball for the first time, 3 and out for the Denver Broncos. And Warren Moon in at quarterback with a broken 10th rib on his left side.
It's on his left side, which is the leading side for a right-handed quarterback. But what you have to watch for Warren Moon today is how he moves around in the pocket. He's going to be able to throw the ball because his rib's going to be numb. He's got it injected. So, I mean, that's not even going to be a factor. If he can't move and it limits his mobility, Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator on the Broncos side, loves to gamble. Loves to do smiling and dialing, as I refer to it. And he will blitz and get all over Warren Moon because it's been very effective the last couple of weeks against the Seattle offense.
First and 10 inside the 15-yard line. One setback, 3 wide receivers. And here's Moon back to throw on first down. Shep Joyner coming with the blitz from the left side. Let's check the offensive line now for the Seattle Seahawks as Fourier makes the grab. Walter Jones, Pete Kendall, Glover, Habib, and Howard Ballard up front. Ricky Waters and Max Strong in the backfield. Galloway Pritchard and Christian Fourier at tight end.
And that's the kind of quick decision Moon has to make because he got a blitz on the first play.
Second down and 2. Play action. Moon, right side, dropped. Joey Galloway had this one at his knees and couldn't hang on. Defensively for the Denver Broncos, Smith, Traylor, Price, Tanavasu up front. John Mobley listed as a starter but suffering from a hamstring pull, and Seth Joyner was on the field on the first down play. And in the secondary, Crockett and Gordon at the corners, and Brown and Atwater are the safeties. 3rd and 2. Galloway is in motion, followed by Darian Gordon. Moon rolls out, fires, finds his man. First down, Seattle. Catch made by Mike Pritchard, a former Denver Bronco. And Steve Atwater makes the tackle.
This is a great play call by Bob Bartkowski. Watch the first receiver run a short pattern. Second receiver runs the deep pattern. That's going to be Galloway. See the short one first, then behind it. That is perfect. That's bringing him up with the first one and getting Warren Moon a good, quick, easy reception on a 3rd down.
Moon will throw again. Good protection from Walter Jones on the left side. Ricky Waters out of the backfield across the 35. Tackle made by Darian Gordon on the corner. And Randy, we talked with Warren Moon about this flak jacket that he's wearing.
Well, see, the left side of this jacket is much larger than the right side. See the big section right here? And if you get more specific on that section, the rib and the problem is somewhere right around in here. So you got to figure they're going to do the donut to absorb the shock around it. But the left side's much bigger than the right.
Broncos threatening the blitz. They're coming. The handoff to Waters, tries to find the quick opening and gets a couple near the 40-yard line. They'll spot the ball just short of the 39.
Ricky Waters is sort of a work in motion or work in progress as a running back. And when he came in with the 49ers, this guy was about 208 pounds. And here we're listed at 217 pounds for this guy out of Notre Dame. He told us Friday, Bern, he's 232 pounds. He's put on, 24 pounds since his rookie year. He's now a power back, but Seattle loves it. They want to pound people with Ricky Waters.
He rests now, and the Seahawks go with Broussard and 4 wide receivers on 3rd down. 4-man rush by Denver. Oh, boy. Behind the intended receiver, Mike Pritchard. It'll be 4th down.
And lucky for Warren Moon, that was behind because Darius Johnson, 25, the nickelback for the Denver Broncos, got a great jump on Dennis Erickson's quarterback. That ball is thrown on the inside, and Dennis Erickson, instead of complaining about where were you throwing that, is complaining about how come I have to get another kickoff return because they just scored a touchdown.
Jeff Fiegels, in his first year in Seattle, will punt it away to Darian Gordon. He waits inside the 15. Nice and high for Fiegels. Has 8 inside the 20. This one caught and taken at the 2-yard line. And And the Seahawks get him. A beauty of a punt for Jeff Fiegels, who applauds the downfield effort of his special teams teammates. Robert Wilson makes the tackle. 58-yard punt. Mike Shanahan in his 4th season as head coach of the Denver Broncos. His team on offense for the 2nd time now. And he looks a little perturbed at his punt returner, Darren Gordon.
To back up this offense is not a good idea. As loud as the stadium is, it's a lot louder on the edges.
Second Bronco offensive set in the first quarter. A handoff to Terrell Davis. Darts to his right, finds an opening out across the 15 to the 17-yard line.
Well, there's a good example, Vern, of why you don't want Terrell Davis making that cutback. He will absolutely hammer you with those types of runs for the 3s and the 4s and whatnot. But those 3s and 4s with him suddenly become 30s and 40s.
2nd down and 5. Terrell Davis. Jim Brown averaged 104.3 over the course of his career. Terrell Davis and Barry Sanders, both active now. The only others who've averaged over 100. Here's Elway with a pump. Nobody open. John will scramble and then finds the open man for the first down as Rod Smith makes the grab.
John Elway and Rod Smith had Chad Brown in a no-win situation. He had absolutely nowhere to go decent. When John Elway moves out to the right, Rod Smith is the receiver over there. Chad Brown doesn't know whether to fill up and hit Elway, which means he drops Rod Smith. And when he drops Rod Smith, Elway hits Rod Smith for the first down.
Gain of 11 on the outlet pass and a first down. Now twin tight ends and 2 wide receivers to the right. And Terrell Davis straight up the middle over the back of Tom Nalen. And he runs into Jay Bellamy, the strong safety, number 20. But Terrell Davis, 75 yards in the season opener against New England. He's been in excess of 100 each of the last 4. And last week, 168 in the first half of play.
Well, Denver leads the league in rushing, but if you take everybody else's yards away, Terrell Davis has more yards than 27 other teams in this league. So whose team is this?
Davis splits way out wide to the left. Out of the shotgun, pump fake, Elway across the middle, beauty. First down at the 42, the catch made by Rod Smith.
Look at the way the Denver Broncos offense spreads out the Seattle defense and gets a great matchup because you've got Chad Brown on Rod Smith. File that one away, folks. File that formation away. Mike Shanahan loves to get mismatches with motion and formation. And he got a great one there with a wide receiver and a linebacker.
McCaffrey comes near side now, and Smith is to the right against Sean Springs, who plays way off. Blitz. Here's Terrell Davis. He's got a big crack at right tackle as Harry Swain helped open things up on the right side, and so did Dan Neal. That's a gain of 9.
This is exactly what hurts you when you go against this offense. Watch the backside. Watch the left side of the Broncos offensive line and the job they do sealing this off. Right there, you got Nalen makes a cut block, Tony Jones makes a cut block, and suddenly there's no backside pursuit. That's what I mean when I say backside is so important. If your players aren't moving upfield towards the runner and they're not on their feet, you are dead.
Broncos now a yard shy of the 50 and a second down and 1. Play fake. All kinds of time for Elway for Smith. Got it. Touchdown, Denver. Well, you give the man a month in which to throw the ball.
And you give the wide receiver the entire field to use, and the result is, after this extra point, Denver will have outscored their opponents in the first quarter so far, 80-7.
This is how offensive coordinators get their names mentioned for future head coaching jobs. And Gary Kubiak is at the top of the potential list right now. Jason Elam bothered with a hamstring. It was questionable this week whether or not he would make the trip. They brought in Scott Bentley, but Bentley stayed home. Elam is here, and John Elway celebrates yet another touchdown pass against Seattle.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Well, here's Willie Williams' problem. You're that far off Rod Smith. You know why you're that far off? You've got the entire football field to defend. As you see Darrell Williams go inside, the safety's no help. The offside corner, Sean Springs can't get there. You know, that can't be done. And teams have been saying, don't let Elway throw back across the field against you for a long, long time.
80-7, the margin of difference in first quarter scoring now. Steve Broussard awaits the kick. He kicked one, returned one 90 yards earlier this year, but this will be Amon Green, the rookie out of Nebraska, who breaks a tackle and then runs into difficulty at the 25-yard line.
What really sets this up, Elway's been doing for a long time, it's a little short roll that leaves the entire football field open, but watch Darrell Williams, the center fielder, the free safety, rotate towards McCaffrey, who was the receiver in motion in the flat. He rolls to the flat, does not roll back to give the help to the cornerback Willie Williams. And Rod Smith's just flat too good to do that. He cannot do that one-on-one with the whole football field against John Elway.
First down 10 now. Seattle trailing by 7. Warren Moon looks right, fires right, and finds Joey Galloway. That'll be enough to move the chain. Ray Crockett defending, but a gain of 11 and a first down and 10. Monday on CBS when Ray Blades elevated to the number 3 receiver spot this week by Dennis Erickson's in the lineup. Here's Ricky Waters. He goes left and moves it out to the 40-yard line, perhaps the 39 when they finally spot it. Now Waters with that 232 pounds now, really big in the shoulder. Said he's doing a lot of work in the weight room.
And he better do a lot of weight in the weight room because they really want to bang him. Bill Myers, the offensive line coach of the Seahawks, was talking to me before the game, just saying we'd love to get this guy as many carries as he can stand, but you get away from a running game fast against this type of a football team when they can score in bunches on it.
Second down and 7. Here's Waters again. And that's after the 40. You know, Randy, we were chatting with Shannon Sharp last night when the Broncos arrived here, and he said people have said that you can run on Denver, but he said what we do offensively, the Broncos that is, we make it impossible to run on us because we're up 21-0.
That's the big difference of Mike Shanahan football team. And Shannon Sharp was absolutely right. Mike Shanahan's teams dictate to the other offense and the other defense what they can do. It does not allow them to do what they do best.
Third down, 4 wide receivers. Moon out of the shotgun. Gets a little pressure, fires it out incomplete. Galloway and Crockett. And there is no flag, though the crowd thinks there should be one.
Wow, from this vantage point up here, it looked like Crockett might have had a little early graduation work going against Galloway on the back before the ball gets there. But remember, folks, that's in slow motion. So that's a bang-bang job for the officials. So that's one's too close to call.
Jeff Eagles for the second time. And Darian Gordon for the second time. He's at the 10-yard line. Eagles had a 58-yard punt last time out. The crowd is responding to the replay on the huge screen here at the Kingdome. Nice and high and taken at the 12. Gordon out of bounds at the 25-yard line. That's a 47-yard Eagles punt, 13 on the return. And Anthony Simmons, number 51, down to defend for the Seattle. Elway hit from 50 yards out last time. He's back on the field when we return. 51-year-old Dennis Erickson prowling the sideline as he has done here in Seattle for the last 3 years and 5 games. First down 10, Denver. They've won 9 of the last 11 against Seattle, including the last 4 in a row. And they're up 7-0 here. Blitz. Fumble! Elway and Nalen couldn't get together, but I think John fell on it or someone around him.
Even veterans, like a John Elway and a veteran center like Nalen, you're thinking blitz. You're thinking, where are they coming from? You forget about the ball. You saw that ball hit John Elway's right and left hand a little bit on the right side because Nalen was scooting out of there trying to get a block.
Among other things Denver does well is protect the football. They've lost only one fumble this year, and they have thrown only 3 interceptions. 4 giveaways. Here's the toss to Davis and the sweep to the left. Cuts back, shakes the tackle, and is up to the 29-yard line. Chad Brown got the initial contact. And Darrell Williams also up to help.
And now you've got the Denver Broncos, if you're Seattle, in a very workable situation. You're looking at 3rd down and 6. Greg McMahon, the defensive coordinator, can now open up the playbook and say, look, I can bring the blitzes, I can take my shots. But if he takes his shots here on Elway, you better get home. You better get to the quarterback or Elway will burn.
Terrell Davis split way wide right. Top of the screen, Elway out of the shotgun. Fires it. Caught by McCaffrey, and that might be enough for the first down at the 36. Jay Bellamy defending number 20. It was McCaffrey who was in the slot inside of Terrell Davis. And holding his right hand. This guy is having a terrific season for Denver.
Got that ball right on the first down marker. See, he's holding that left side. He's got those fingers already taped together. That might look funny on a receiver, but that is not unusual. Receivers of all kinds, especially when you catch John Elway balls, end up getting a lot of fingers bent backwards.
Well, about a foot. And Ruin's going to come on to punt, and McCaffrey talking with Steve Antonopoulos to his left, the trainer. Now doesn't seem to be. Well, he's looking at it.
Well, you got John Elway and you got Bubby Brisker. You know, that's like catching balls from, get your choice, Tom Clemens or Randy Johnson. I mean, both of them are going to bring all kinds of heat, and if your hands aren't perfect, you're going to be taping your fingers for the rest of the year.
That'd be Roger, right?
It's Roger Clemens. That was close.
I remember Tom Clemens when he played at Notre Dame. I'm surprised I remember. Ruined the punt. Way up in the air. Galloway way back. Fields it at the 5. Flag is down. Back at the line of scrimmage. A 60-yard punt. The penalty against the Seahawks.
The question here really is, when exactly was the penalty called? When did the infraction occur?
By the receiving team, number 51. After this is the goal, foul occurred during the punt. Seattle keeps the ball, first down.
They get the ball back, but that's the second time in as many punts that we've had an infraction on the Seattle special teams. They've got the football, but they trail by 7.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Taco Bell, DirecTV, and by Microsoft.
Welcome back to the Kingdome. A sellout crowd, quiet for now because the home team trails by 7. And Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, a new wrinkle or a wrinkle here with 4 linebackers in.
Well, it just still means blitz. He will come after Warren Moon on a pass.
Moon with a handoff and a collision at the 4-yard line. Max Strong, number 38, manages to get it out about a yard.
That's the advantage this Denver defense has. They can go with 4 linebackers and not lose anything when it comes to the events. So you got linebacker, 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 but you still don't lose anything when it comes to the blitz. These are fast, mobile linebackers that are almost like strong safeties were only 3 or 4 years ago.
Second down and 9 from the 5. Moon straight back. Has protection, goes deep, has a man open, and overthrows Mike Pritchard. Up at the 20. 3rd and 9 at the 5. Ouch.
Well, Pritchard was open. Warren Moon should have hit him on that one. And, that's the kind of thing you start seeing a quarterback that misses a couple days of practice. Warren had his ribs injected on Thursday so he could kill the pain enough to get the reps in with the offense on their offensive skills day, and then didn't practice on Wednesday, didn't practice on Friday. That's just a timing issue.
Steve Broussard in now on 3rd and 9. Atwater up on the line. Stunts by the Denver defense. Moon with time goes left, and Ray Crockett was there. Brian Blades, the intended receiver, but Crockett, who has an 80-yard interception return for a touchdown this season, doing a good job defensively.
Oh, watch Ray Crockett on the right side. Every good defensive back thinks the ball is always theirs when it goes into the air. It's merely a coincidence that the offense thinks it's their ball when they're throwing it. Ray Crockett was positive that ball was going to be right where he needed it for another touchdown.
Now Feagles backed up in the end zone, and Darian Gordon waits for it at the 45. In this battle to establish field position, the Broncos took it 88 yards after a good Feagles punt. Special teams play cost Seattle, and now they have to give it up to Darian Gordon at the 45. And a missed tackle. Here goes Darian Gordon. Feagles tries to stop him. Gordon counter punches inside the 20. It was a year ago that special teams rated last for the Seattle Seahawks. They made a change in their special teams coaching staff. Pete Dominguez came in. Rodriguez, beg your pardon. And boy, it has proven costly for them in the early going.
The coverage is not good except for the one guy that gets his shot, McKnight. McKnight doesn't get him, and once McKnight's gone, so is Darian Gordon. Good wall formed by the Denver special teams, and Rick Dennison on the other side is the special teams coach of the Denver Broncos, and he's got his group on a roll this year.
Broncos up by 7, 2:13 to go, and they knock on the door again. This is Rod Smith in motion. John Elway again with time. Comes left. He's got Shannon Sharp, who strolls in untouched. 39th career touchdown catch for Shannon Sharp.
There aren't a whole lot of absolutes when you play a football game. There's a lot of variables. But something that's developing into an absolute when you watch the Denver Broncos is if you make a mistake, you give them field position on a turnover or a big play, Mike Shanahan's offense is going right for your throat. They don't care about the run. They don't care about the little play. Shannon Sharp cares about quieting down this crowd.
Jason Elam on for the extra point. Up and good. Well, Shannon Sharp talked yesterday about quieting the crowd.
This has all been set up, as we had a flag on that extra point. This has all been set up by the fact that Terrell Davis was able to run a little early. That's set up the play action. That set up the short roll of John Elway's. That set up part of this field position.
And now Ed Hockley.
Holding. Other defense, number 94, pull the player to the side to allow a teammate to shoot through and try and block the kick. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The point scores.
39 career touchdown catches. Terrell Davis, John Elway, Shannon Sharp. Broncos by 14. John Elway watched Bubby Brister throw 4 touchdowns last week in the win over Philadelphia. He's halfway there. John, 5 of 6, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Broussard awaits the kickoff of Jason Elam. And it's a good one. This will be Amon Green again, and he decides belatedly to bring it out. And the special teams have not excelled for the Seahawks in the early going. Let's go back and take a look at Shannon Sharpe.
Nobody uses motion better than Mike Shanahan. Watch what he does with Rod Smith, bringing him up the field, which clears Shannon Sharpe to do his pattern underneath this. Watch the reaction of the defensive backs. They're trying to change the coverage. One comes in motion. Shannon Sharpe moves up the field. The linebacker is like thinking, I'm dropping him off to somebody behind me, but somebody behind me has been affected by Rod Smith and that motion and Rod Smith's route. Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak right now are about 18 months ahead of the rest of the NFL on offense.
Averaging better than 34 points per game, and they've got 14 in the early going here. Handoff, Ricky Waters out across the 20 to the 21. Check out the official NFL website for live play-by-play and statistics from every game. Plus, log on Monday morning for Week 6 highlights and recaps on www.nfl.com.
Right now, if you're Dennis Erickson and the Seahawks, you're right at the cusp of patience. You can still be patient at 14-zip. You got a minute and a half to go in the first quarter. You can still be patient. Don't do anything dumb.
Second down. Pritchard is the motion man. Moon tosses to Waters right. Max Strong with a block. Ricky Waters breaks the tackle. And Ricky Waters out to the 35. That's a gain of 15.
Remember, 208 pounds 7-8 years ago. Now 232, and I haven't really noticed a discernible difference speed-wise. Still has that good burst to catch the corner, and he's got all that good momentum behind him.
Ricky Waters began his professional career with the 49ers, then tumultuous couple of years in Philadelphia. Signed as a free agent here, said he was also interested in Kansas City. Like the direction things were going here, and Warren Moon is knocked down, or knocked backwards by John Mobley.
This is what he's got to know he's going to get. It's never where you're expecting it. John Mobley coming from the top of the screen, 51 with the orange gloves. Warren Moon barely gets time to turn around to even take a look at his running back, Ricky Waters. I mean, that's a split-second thing, but that is a pre-snap look deal that this defense doesn't give up. Warren Moon takes that pre-snap look and says, okay, that linebacker's there, no problem. Turns his back, bang, he's got a linebacker in his face.
Moon has missed his last 4. He'll hand it off to Waters, who tries to get to the outside. Does. Little high step. And Ricky Waters up near the first down marker.
Well, I don't know, Vern. I think he's about 10 pounds past high step. Maybe 220, he can still high step it. 232, I said he's still got the speed, but he's a different runner now. He looks like he's beating up the ground when he's running.
And there was a flag that we did not see. And here's Ed Hockley.
Holding. Offense number 38. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Max Strong in that monsoon in Kansas City last Sunday night. This was a Seattle team which was penalized 12 times. Among other things, that proved costly.
Well, this is a football team, though. Realistically, it spent 3 weeks beating up on the NFC East.
Right.
Then went to Pittsburgh and made 4 or 5 turnovers, a lot of penalties, and lost that game. Went into that game last week. Last time I checked, it was raining for both teams. They just out-stupided Kansas City and lost that football game. And Dennis Erickson says, look, we can beat almost anybody when we're not turning over the ball and making dumb penalties.
And there is another one desired that is destined to inspire the crowd. Flag again.
Before the snap, false start, offense number 38. 5-yard penalty is still second down.
Max Strong put the ball on the ground a couple times 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh for Dennis Erickson's offense, and so far right now against a holding penalty and a movement penalty. And if you see any smoke coming off the field right now, folks, it's coming out of the gears of the Seattle offense because it's not used to going backwards this fast.
Seattle had averaged 5 penalties per game until last week. We just mentioned the 12 that they had against Kansas City. They've now been tagged for 5 penalties here in the first quarter. 14-0, second and 25. Moon with a play fake. Goes across the middle, sliding catch by Pritchard. He made the grab up the 37-yard line.
And Warren Moon got turned into a speed bump there at the end by Neil Smith. Just barely got that pass off. Great job by Pritchard of adjusting to the football, because Warren Moon didn't have a real great idea where that thing was going after he threw it.
Warren Moon hits one after missing 4 in a row. That is the end of the first quarter. With our score, the Denver Broncos 14, 2 touchdowns from John Elway. Seattle nothing. We return to the Kingdom right after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to the Kingdom in Seattle. The Seahawks trailing the Denver Broncos by 14-0 as we get ready for the start of the second quarter. Vern Lundquist, Randy Cross, Michelle Tafoya, and Warren Moon and the Seahawks look now to 3rd and 8. They're 1 of 4 on third down conversions. Blitz coming. Tyrone Braxton tries to get to Moon, and the pass is behind Mike Pritchard. It'll be 4th down.
Well, the Denver defense now is not worried about Warren Moon running around. They have got him dialed in. They've got him bracketed. He's getting a blitz here. Romanowski's coming. Kadrez is coming. Braxton's coming from the safety position. They know they've got a stationary target. You're going to see a lot more blitz in Warren Moon's face.
Jeff Eagles on for the 3rd time. Darian Gordon waits at the 15. Again, nice and high. Gordon drifts over, and fair catch called for inside the 15-yard line. That is the 10th time this season that Jeff Eagles has had his punt down inside the 20. He's a dandy at that. Time has been called after the 50-yard punt. Broncos have the ball for the 4th time. They were held to 3 and out on their first possession, but scored on the next 2. John Elway 50 yards to Rod Smith, then John Elway to Shannon Sharp. 14-zip, and John Elway and this potent Denver offense has the ball again. That's McCaffrey in motion. The handoff goes to Terrell Davis out across the 15 to the 16-yard line. Coming up tomorrow night, doctors face life and death every day, but when the life you hold in your hands is your own mother's, don't miss the all-new hit drama LA Doctors. That's Monday on CBS. Warren Moon on the sidelines with a flak jacket around his ribs. 2nd down and 6.
And Moon needs that flak jacket. They've been pounding him.
Blitz coming. Elway with a play fake. Goes right. Intercepted. Picked off. And here goes Darren Smith for the touchdown. That is John Elway's first interception of the season. Darren Smith, who came here as a free agent from Philadelphia, is having a sensational year.
Leading the Seahawks in tackles, came into the game with 1 interception and 5 sacks. Reading Elway perfectly, able to slough off his receiver and read the quarterback's eyes for 6 points. But you want to talk about something that this team needed. This crowd was about to start snoring as a group, and now suddenly they're alive.
John Elway has thrown 2 for Hisson and 1 for Laren. And here's the kick. Up and good. Darren Smith from 23 yards out.
Watch out, John.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new Dodge, Stanley, and by Claritin.
Seattle Kingdom's going to be around for another couple of years, and then it will be destroyed. And a new facility has been approved and will be built on this spot that will go side by side with the new baseball stadium that's already under construction.
It's going to be as nice a sports complex as you could possibly find.
Darren Smith in 1994 returned an interception for a touchdown when he played for Dallas. He's just done it again from 23 yards out. Here is Vaughn Hebron. And he breaks loose out to the 32-yard line before the tackle is made. Jay Bellamy with the tackle, and let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Vern, you mentioned this is the first legitimate sellout of the season here at the Kingdom, and no one was more pleased than Dennis Erickson. He said after playing the last 2 weeks at Pittsburgh and at Kansas City, we finally got a full house. He said they can make some noise here. That's what home field advantage is all about, and we hope to take advantage of it. And maybe after that interception, they finally have, Vern.
All right, Michelle, back in the 80s, this was as noisy a place as you could find in the NFL, Randy.
Well, imagine that, a concrete shell being noisy when you put a lid on it.
First and 10. Crowd gets inspired. Elway with a punt goes deep left side for McCaffrey. And he's down there. There is contact and a catch made. Ed McCaffrey got behind Willie Williams. A 41-yard grab.
Just about the time you're worried about Ed McCaffrey coming off holding his fingers. Look at all the room. He bites up. Willie Williams takes that fake by John Elway. I don't like that. That was not a catch. That ball was on the ground when he picked it up.
There is a conference going on now with the officials.
There's a conference going on, and they're bringing this ball back. They are not calling this a catch. This is a great thing you've seen this year.
Pass hit the ground. The ruling is incomplete. Second down.
This is a great thing you've seen in the NFL more this year than any other year, is they've had conferences between the officials. This isn't a replay. This is a different look saying, here's what I saw. And they get enough votes against it because nice play coming back and recovering by Willie Williams, knocking that ball down to the ground. No way that was even close to a catch.
So after the conference, justice prevails, and it's second down and 10.
But Mike Shanahan will remember how hard Willie Williams bit on that play fake.
Rod Smith goes out against Williams this time. McCaffrey comes right against Sean Springs. Now McCaffrey in motion, the toss to Davis. He gets a terrific block from Howard Griffith and then bolts into the secondary and is tackled at the 45. That's a gain of 14.
Well, you don't have to go all the way back on a cutback. Watch the backside defenders for the Seattle Seahawks and how they're dealt with by the Denver Broncos blockers. Saliamua is hooked. One linebacker's on the ground. Mike Sinclair actually had a shot, but Terrell Davis is way too strong of a running back to hit him up around the shoulder pad. Watch 70, Mike Sinclair right here, come up and hit him in the shoulder pad. That won't bring down Terrell Davis.
First down 10 after the 14-yard gain. McCaffrey again in motion. Davis will try right tackle. Flag might bring this one back. He skips into the secondary, but this is going to be holding Denver, I believe.
And guess who's protesting? Number 84, Shannon Sharp, doesn't like that call. And he was on the end of the line of scrimmage, and I believe he grabbed a little bit of jersey on the outside of his shoulder pad.
Holding. Offense number 62. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Now they call Dan Neal.
Well, they were looking way inside at the center. Center and guard position. Neal starting at the right guard spot there next to Harry Swain. This is the best coached offensive line, I think, right now in the offense in the NFL. Alex Gibbs coaches this line so well technique-wise, and along with the tight ends, Shannon Sharp and them, they're taught to get in there, get a hold of that chest plate or the jersey of the defender, hold on and let him run and let Terrell Davis figure out where he's going to cut.
After the penalty, first down at 20. Denver, 14-7. Broncos lead. And off Davis. Wiggles for room, and a good defensive job by the Seahawks at the 35-yard line.
That was that backside. Good job backside.
Next Saturday, conference crunch time on NASDAQ College Football on CBS. In the SEC, Auburn will look for running room against Steve Spurrier's attack defense, and the Big East, Donovan McNabb ignites the Orangemen in the Big East Bash with the BC Eagles. NASDAQ College Football next Saturday. Right here, it's second down and 21. Rod Smith and Shannon Sharp go wide to the left. McCaffrey comes near side, and Justin Armour is on the field as the third wide receiver. Blitz coming. Elway, right side. His receiver, Justin Armour, slipped as he made his cut.
And Sean Springs never saw that ball till it went right over his head. Look at Sean Springs saying, if I'd have looked, I'd have had it. You're absolutely right, Sean. Because when John Elway turns to the right and times this pattern, he's throwing. He never sees the slip happen. And Sean Springs is looking at that ball going right over his head. Watch the end of this play. Looking down, looking down. What am I looking at?
Sean Springs' first game against Denver, McCaffrey caught 8 against him for 93 yards. Game 2 last year, he broke his thumb, so he's got unpleasant memories of his team. Here's Elway. Goes deep for McCaffrey. Way downfield, Sean Springs picks it off. In a sense, it's like a punt, but I don't think Elway will look at it that way, nor will Sean Springs.
Sean Springs was 15 yards off the ball in front of Ed McCaffrey. There was no play action fake. There was no stop and go. They just said, McCaffrey, run by Springs. Not in this lifetime. That just ain't going to happen. This is the third interception of the year for Sean Springs. The last 2 he brought back for 6 points.
And Denver, which had not turned it over much in winning 5, they had turned it over only 4 times, has turned it over twice here. 14-7. Play fake, Warren Moon into the flat, caught by Max Strong, and he's out to the 23-yard line. Steve Atwater makes the tackle on the 5-year fullback out of Georgia.
You know, that last graphic we had up about the turnover ratio,
right,
that tells you a lot about what's been happening here with the Seahawks in Seattle. I mean, they got off that great start against those teams, in those 2 games against Pittsburgh, and in the slop, suddenly it all goes south. If this Warren Moon-led team can get some turnovers, they can compete with the Denver. They can't make the mistakes.
Second down and 5 here. Seattle trailing by 7. Ricky Waters breaks a tackle and works his way out. Now a flag late behind the ball. Ed Hockley calls it.
There was no foul on the play. It was not a crackback. It was downfield.
Yeah, there's a little altercation there in the backfield between Glenn Cudrez and I think Max Strong. And Dennis Erickson's back had come in and blocked down into the legs of Cudrez. And Cudrez took offense to that, and the reason they originally did it is, you know, they're getting Ricky Waters off of this kind of start, but they want to start chopping these linebackers. Remember, these linebackers are fast. If you get in there and you chop them down the field, it'll open up holes for Ricky Waters.
First down and 10 Seattle. Play action, Moon back. As a man open, it's Galloway, trailed by Gordon. Joey Galloway across the 50 with a big gain of 24 and a first down in front of Eric Brown.
You see Joey Galloway catch these kinds of passes against defenses because he gets so much respect. He'll be coming from the left side of the screen, and when I say respect, look at the room he's got from the defensive backs. They know this is one of the fastest players in the NFL. They'd rather box him and give him 20 than lose him and give him 80.
Brian Blades comes in now after that 24-yard first down pass catch by Galloway. Play fake, Moon, right side for Brian Blades. Second all-time leading receiver behind Largent for the Seahawks. And really relegated to a 4th position this year, but now back into things.
And the reason he's back in it and the reason he's playing is just what he did. Between Pritchard and McKnight and the rest of the receivers here, they've been dropping a lot of passes. And Dennis Erickson knew in Brian Blades at 11 years, he was going to have a guy that when he got the ball, he was really, really confident he was going to catch it. He didn't know with the other guys, and that's why Blades in the rotation.
only 4 catches in the first 5 games. And second down and 3. Whoops, busted play. That's how Warren Moon cracked a rib last week. And Ricky Waters, I think, blew the assignment.
It's tough to say the way that play started out, whether it's the quarterback or it's Ricky Waters. We saw it in the tapes we watched the last couple of days. Ricky Waters, though, is going left. Everybody else is going right. And that's exactly how that crack of the rib happened. You mentioned about Kansas City, and here it is right here in the monsoon. Folks, this is no fun. Having your back not be there when you want to give them a handoff is a lot less fun. And when you're stood up and then cracked in the back by a linebacker, we got the trifecta.
That pass should have been intercepted by Darius Johnson. Number 25, both hands on it.
That last play, I think the offense in general was still sort of suffering a hangover from the play before. Not quite settled down, not quite focused, and all the way around from Warren Moon to Michael Pritchard to the offensive line. We're not ready to make a play, and they almost paid for it.
And Fiegels on to punt yet again. Darian Gordon waits at the 10. Jeff Fiegels. He's one of the few who still does the coffin corner, and there is a flag down behind the line. Fiegels comes up to argue with Ed Hockley.
It's coming back. That was a hold against Seattle. Another special teams mess up.
It was a terrific punt. Now Fiegels is indicating it's going to go the other way. Well,
Holding, but correction.
I know how you feel, Ed.
Oh, boy.
There was a guy on the punt return team for Denver that got absolutely spun around in the air as he was rushing Jeff Fiegels, right about the time that flag went down. And Pete Rodriguez, the special teams coach, and Dennis Erickson of the Seattle Seahawks know they just got a perfect coffin corner kick. Will they be able to keep it?
Holding by the kicking team, number 88, before the ball was kicked. The down is repeated, 4th down after a 10-yard penalty.
That penalty called on Deems May, the backup linebacker, or backup tight end. Right here, Deems May is on the line of scrimmage. Watch what happens. He's right in front of Steve Broussard, 31. Oh, gave him a Goldberg. Grabbed him by the neck and threw him down, but you got to hold him down for the 3 count or they won't give you the tap.
That is the 6th penalty against Seattle. It is the 3rd penalty on special teams play, and it wipes out a superb Jeff Fiegels punt.
And Dennis Erickson knows full well his football team is good. They've got lots of potential, but they're nowhere near good enough to give these kind of breaks to the world champions.
Fiegels does it again. Gordon still waits at the 10-yard line. Jeff Fiegels, the 11-year pro from Miami, played most recently with Arizona. Way up in the air. Good downfield coverage. Gordon will let it bounce. And it goes into the end zone. That will be a touchback. There is another flag, however. This tends to disrupt the rhythm of an afternoon's entertainment. Oh.
I think that was during the kick, so it'll be half the distance to the goal line. I'll put Denver on the 10, I believe.
Holding, receiving team number 20 during the kick. It's penalized from the 20-yard line. Denver keeps the ball, 1st down.
8 minutes and 38 seconds remain in the first half. Broncos get it back with a 7-point lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Fidelity Investments and by Norelco.
Following the penalty, Denver starts at its own 10-yard line. They seem to be a little bit of a stutter start and stop.
Denver is just a little bit off. Normally you make this many mistakes against them, you're down by a lot more than 7 points. Seattle has got to start playing smart so it doesn't get ugly.
Elway has has thrown 2 interceptions last 2 possessions. Here's Terrell Davis. Oh boy, here he goes. Downfield block for Davis, and just like that, he picks up 25.
The flag down on the 25-yard line, Vern.
Might come back.
Holding. Offense number 80. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
When we talk about the big key for Denver down the field for Mike Shanahan's running game is always the blocking of the wide receivers. The offensive line gets them the first 5 or 6, and the receivers get in the big play. And that play, Rod Smith got flagged for holding. That's one almost Mike Shanahan will say, okay, that's fine, we'll take that. We'll take one mistake. Because these guys are the most aggressive group of wide receivers blocking down the field that you're going to see in the NFL.
Rod Smith comes right. McCaffrey does as well. He's in the slot. Elway hands it off to Davis. There's the cutback, and he tries to get outside. Does. This one will come back as well. 2 flags down at the 15-yard line. So back-to-back efforts by Terrell Davis negated by holding calls. Ed Hockley's getting more airtime today than Henry Hyde.
Holding. Offense number 84. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Sam Adams limping off for Seattle. Shannon Sharp with the hold.
A year ago, or almost a year ago, Denver went into Oakland at 6-0. And they lost a football game to the Oakland Raiders because they made penalties, they turned over the ball, and they weren't ready to play. Seattle seems to have them on an off day making mistakes. Can they take advantage? Stop making dumb mistakes. You can take advantage of these guys.
1st and 12, Denver. Handoff Davis for the 3rd straight time, and this time he is plugged and down by Michael Sinclair, number 70. Tackle made at the 10-yard line.
Terrell Davis, so much is made of this guy leading the NFL in rushing right now, and you look what he did last week, and this week he's got 62 yards. You can say he's having an off day. We got 7.5 minutes to go, in the second quarter. It's unbelievable what this guy would be running for if he was actually playing the whole time.
2nd down and 10. 7:14 to go before the break. Here's Elway left side. Rod Smith, Willie Williams, and the Broncos pick up the first down as Rod Smith circles to his right and gains 13.
Well, you're definitely going to see the Broncos keep going back there because here they got a matchup they like. Not only is Willie Williams playing 20 yards off of Rod Smith, he gives up a whole lot of height and weight to Rod Smith. And, you don't want to have to turn into Rodeo Roper when you're a defensive back on a regular basis. That's a mismatch, and that's something John Elway would definitely go back with, not only with Rod Smith, but also with Ed McCaffrey again.
1st and 10 Broncos. They lead at 14-7. Elway back to throw with protection. That ball is tipped and incomplete. Knocked down behind the line by Dan Saliamua, longtime nemesis of the Broncos when he anchored the defensive line in Kansas City.
Watch to the right side of the screen as the pass rush comes in. You got Saliamua, you've got Sinclair. Saliamua gets it. Sinclair 70. See him bending over right there? He was poked in the eye, ripped his helmet off and was massaging his eye. He's had a little problem. He's going to leave the field, but nice timing by Saliamua. Good timing by the offense, and there's 70. Sinclair holding his eye right there, working against Harry Swain. Sinclair spent the last 20-30 seconds talking to Hockley in the group, trying to get him to, hey, look, I just got poked in the face. Keep an eye on it.
So Sinclair goes to the Seahawk bench. Mike Sinclair had a couple of wonderful years, particularly as a pass rushing specialist. 7 sacks this year. 2nd and 10. 3-man rush, the zone blitz. That pass left side for McCaffrey, incomplete. He was juggling it as Willie Williams made contact.
Well, you remember how far off Willie Williams was last time. This time he gets Justin Armour. See, look, he's a good 8 yards off of Justin Armour, but look at the difference. Look at him close now. As Armour closed the distance, Willie Williams closed back and was able to be there with the arms around him. Remember, this is another one of the free agents. Willie Williams came here out of Pittsburgh along with Chad Brown and hosts of others as far as free agents for the Seahawks.
Broncos leading the league in third down conversions, have yet to convert one today.
Not third and long.
Here's the blitz. Here's Elway. And there's the third and long. Picked up in front of longtime Raider defensive back Terry McDaniels. Gain of 11 and a first down. That's the first third down conversion for a smiling John Elway.
Now watch John Elway on the shotgun. This is timing. 1, 2, 3, bang. He knows exactly where his receiver is. You see Willie Williams, 27, almost got an interception on that. Watch Willie Williams dive in right there, 27. Almost gets it, but not quite. The timing perfect between Elway and Smith.
Rod Smith, 5 receptions, 92 yards already. And off to Terrell Davis. Sinclair's back in the lineup, and Darren Smith leads the defensive charge that brings him down at the 35-yard line. Tomorrow on CBS, kickoff a night of laughs. First of all, we invite you to watch The Cosby Show. That's followed by King of Queens. Then the hit Everybody Loves Raymond, the Brian Benben Show, and the drama L.A. Doctors. That's the Monday night lineup tomorrow night on CBS. 14-7, 5:06 to go in the first half. Second and 10. John Elway, 2 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Drills it to Rod Smith for his 6th catch, and that'll be another first down.
What do you think, Vern? They do any business over there in front of Willie Williams?
Wow.
That time's Willie Williams comes up and delivers a heck of a blow into Rod Smith. We talked about the fill by the defensive back, the pad given by the defensive back. Willie Williams that time came in and caught Rod Smith right under the chin. The pad's still there. See that pad? I mean, receiver's going to drive, then turn for the ball. But look at Willie Williams just drive it right through back into him. That was helmet-to-helmet contact. That's the kind of thing the league has sort of retroactively been dinging players for. I absolutely happen to believe it's ridiculous, some of the fines that are being handed out in some of these cases, but in this case, Rod Smith just turned and got a flush face full of Willie Williams.
I wish you'd get off the fence. Those pickets must not hurt.
Stop selling the videos highlighting all those great hits if you're going to find guys for it.
6 completions to Rod Smith. And Steve Antonopoulos will accompany him as they walk to the sideline. Well, if you haven't seen the new detective show, Bloody Pharaoh, Friday's episode is surely one not to miss, with special appearances by Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, and Marcus Allen. They may not be winning any Emmys for this, but we hear they had a lot of fun on Bloody Pharaoh this Friday on CBS.
I watch that show Friday night here in the hotel. Fun is a pretty good word. Dennis has a lot of fun doing that show. Dennis Farina is a good actor, and it is a good show to watch.
14-7, first down, 10. Smith out, McCaffrey in motion. Blitz coming from Seattle. John Elway goes deep left, almost picked off again. This is Jay Bellamy reaching for the ball, which was intended for Shannon Sharp.
Is it just me, Vern, or are they sort of zeroing in on the left side of their offense, the right side of the defense right now, sort of deciding that maybe there's a little bit of work to be done on that side? Bellamy, you've got Williams. You've got the better part of that defense, so they're changing up. Earlier we saw McDaniel. Williams has seen an awful lot of it. You keep giving them those great big pads, though, between the corner and the wide receivers. John Elway is not beyond taking 7-8-yard gains at a time and slowly cutting you apart.
Elway back on 2nd and 10. Again, he has a lot of time, goes to McCaffrey against Springs, and Sean Springs right there. Beautiful defensive job by last year's #1 pick from Ohio State.
Dave, if you're watching out there and you're a young defensive back, remember something. How often do you see players cover a wide receiver and then don't look back for the ball at the last minute? Look at Sean Springs. Almost loses him. Last minute looks back and knocks the ball away. I mean, what a beautiful play. That's being young and having great recovery speed and good technique, and also a little tug onto the arm of McCaffrey at the end.
3rd and 10, 3 wide receivers. They load up on the left side.
They're 1 for 1 on 3rd and 10 so far.
Here comes the blitz. Good job of picking it up. It's behind Justin Armour. It will be 4th down. Justin Armour played his high school ball in the Colorado area at Manitou Springs.
And Greg McMackin's defense doesn't have to get home and hit Elway. It's totally disrupted the timing of that play.
NASDAQ halftime report. We'll go back to New York. Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert. Scores and highlights from around the league. And how about the effort of Neil O'Donnell and the Cincinnati Bengals today?
That was almost as surprising to see the way that game ended as it was to see how bad Kansas City got spanked by the Patriots.
Here's the punt from Tom Ruin. This time it's Kerry Joseph back, and he grabs it and moves it out to the 20-yard line. So Galloway gave way to Joseph. And Seattle gets it back with 3:57 to go. Keith Burns downfield to make the tackle. 14-7 Denver.
You're absolutely right, though, about Neil O'Donnell. Throws 3 touchdowns. Pickens over 200 yards receiving. I guess Neil O'Donnell can still play quarterback.
I think
get him over that Hudson River and away from all that garbage he had to put up with. He's still a pretty good quarterback.
1st and 10. Warren Moon will turn 42 in November. John Elway was laughing. Of course, they both went to high school in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, one whole class apart.
Right. Warren Moon was at Hamilton and John Elway at Granada Hills. We asked John, did he remember Warren Moon? He said, hey, I was only in the 2nd grade there. Not quite. Moon, quick flip. Got it to Fourier. 1st down at the 35-yard line. A quick flip to the tight end, a gain of 15.
And, you know, Bob Bartkowski comes down with a little bit of his own business in that he changes formations. Fourier off to the right is split out. About an 8-yard pad between the tackle and the tight end, almost in a slot position. This Colorado Buffalo, or former Colorado Buffalo, gets a nice catch in air.
1st down and 10. And off to Waters for Christian Fourier had something in common, right? You went to the same high school.
Absolutely.
Now let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Vern, you talked about still being able to play a little football. You mentioned Warren Moon's going to turn 42 next month. How about this to put his career in perspective? Of his 286 career touchdown passes in the NFL, 250 have come since his 30th birthday back in 1986. That's the most of any NFL quarterback ever after the age of 30, Vern.
Thanks, Michelle. 2nd down and 8. Play fake, Moon back. Deep left side goes for Galloway. Double coverage, and it is incomplete. Tyrone Braxton and Darian Gordon with really solid coverage.
Hey, you know, following up on what Michelle was just talking about with Warren Moon, you forget how long Warren Moon has been around and how experienced he is and how many touchdowns he's thrown. You figure he started in the NFL at 21. He started at 29, but it seems like since he was 16, he was able to make those kind of passes. He hit Joey Galloway in full stride, 3 feet off the ground, right in the right number.
Warren spent the first 6 years after he left the University of Washington with Edmonton in the Canadian Football League. 3rd down. And time called by the Seahawks. Stop the clock with 2 minutes and 43 seconds remaining. First half of play. Seahawks trail by 7.
I've got to admit it's getting better all the time.
We ask you to be with us next Sunday for the NFL on CBS, 1 o'clock Eastern. Many of you will see Baltimore against Pittsburgh, others Jacksonville, Buffalo, or Cincinnati, Tennessee. And at 4 o'clock, we're going to take Randy Cross back home to the Bay Area. We'll be down in San Francisco for the Indianapolis Colts and the 49ers.
The 49ers went into New Orleans today. It was supposed to be a big matchup at 2 3-1 teams. The last time I saw it was 31-zip.
Yeah. Here's Warren Moon across the middle. Crockett on Galloway. No flag.
Yeah, Crockett doing a little yapping over there to the Seahawks sideline, who obviously thought he had a personal foul going there with a little pass interference, but no way. That's good close coverage. He's not mugging him. He might be trying to pick his pockets, but he's not mugging him. That is great defensive football.
And that brings on Jeff Feagles as Crockett stays on the field for the punt coverage team. Here is Feagles. And Gordon inside the 20. And that will be 3-yard line. That's a 45-yard Jeff Feagles punt and 6 on the return. 14-7. Elway with 2 touchdown passes early. There is an injured Bronco. It's Ray Crockett.
It's one of the differences between these Denver Broncos and a lot of teams out there. They do not hesitate to use their starters on special teams. This is a head coach's greatest fear, is to have any kind of an injury to a starting player. We talked about the last job when he was doing the coverage of what he did. Now watch his ankle, his right ankle, as he goes to hurdle over the top of James McKnight, lands on the back of his shoe right there. And when he lands on the back of the shoe, his ankle does that quick little high-speed wobble. Ouch. High-speed wobbles are fine when you got them on the front end of your car, but they're not good on your feet.
Ray Crockett in his 10th year, a Baylor Bear.
He really has been since the last couple of years with this matchup with Greg Robinson and this defense in Denver, kind of big play Ray. He's been a guy that has done the big things for him. Darian Gordon's done the punt returns and made the flashy things, but when they needed a big play, Ray Crockett's been the guy that's made it for this football team.
First down and 10, and Crockett will test that tender ankle at halftime, which is 2:28 away. 14-7 Denver. They jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead. Touchdown pass to Rod Smith from 50 yards, and then Shannon Sharp caught another Elway pass, but John was picked off by Darren Smith. He returned it 23 yards for the interception for the touchdown. That's where we stand. Here's Terrell Davis going left. Breaking tackles. What a familiar sight that has become.
Remember how big this running back is, folks. I mean, I've heard him described a lot of ways. You know, he's tense when he runs and he's loose when he runs. And he runs upright and he runs bent over. This guy is so strong, so dedicated, and runs with so much joy. I mean, he's a happy runner when he's running. He really cannot believe 2 things. 1, the accolades and fame he's had, and 2, that he actually gets paid to do this.
He is also, and I would hope for him this for the rest of his career, that he not change a bit. He is a delightful, accessible young man who takes time for everybody. Tony Jones injured on that last play, and he's down at the 25. So while they tend to Tony Jones, back-to-back injuries for the Broncos now. Time has been called with 2:11 to go first half. Tony Jones limps off. Take another look and see if we can determine what happened.
Here's Tony Jones right here. I'm sorry, right here is Tony Jones. Watch Tony Jones working, trying to double team on Matt LeBounty. It just slips and falls down. I just seen that leg gave out underneath him when he stepped on it.
Tony Jones, of course, playing in the spot occupied for so many years with such great distinction by Gary Zimmerman, who is in retirement on a treadmill down in Bend, Oregon right now. And here's Terrell Davis ripping through the left side out to the 40. Matt Lepsis has come on to take Tony Jones' place. We've got 1:58 to go first half. 7-yard gain for Terrell Davis. He's got 78 for the afternoon. Medical staff working on offensive tackle Tony Jones on the Denver bench. 1:58 to go before the break, and the Broncos have all 3 timeouts left. Matt Lepsis has moved in to right tackle, and Harry Swain has gone from right to left.
They get the veteran on the blind side for Elway.
Second down and 3. Hand off to Terrell Davis, and my goodness, Mark Collins was there at about the time the handoff was made.
Greg McMackin, we talked about the fact that he doesn't mind blitzing and he knows how to guess. Watch Mark Collins just blitzing through right at the exchange point. If he runs, a half of a second earlier on that blitz, Mark Collins, a 13-year player out of Cal State Fullerton, gets there at the exchange and causes a fumble. What a great call by McMackin and his defense.
And that sets up a 3rd and 8, the clock running with 1:22 to go before the halftime break. They're blitzing again. Elway, hip dropped. Seattle has 2 timeouts remaining. See if they choose to use one here. They do. Chad Brown, number 94, with his 3rd and a half sack of the season.
You get the Broncos in a two-minute offense. You're going to bring Chad Brown around the outside, working against Harry Swain on the backside, giving him speed, giving him blitzes, and getting John Elway. Greg McMackin and his defense doesn't play soft, doesn't play scared. They just play aggressive. And McMackin on the sideline makes his call, watches players, and says, I never had a doubt in the world. Knew you were going to get there the whole time.
That sets up a 4th down. There's Chad Brown. Played collegiately at Colorado and still owns an exotic pet shop in Littleton. Mike Arnold, our director, asked what kind of a pet he should get for his 6-year-old son. Chad Brown recommended a leopard gecko.
Well, I voted boa, but I got voted down on the boa constrictor.
Here's Galloway. Here is Galloway. There's Galloway. Byron Chamberlain helped to chase him out of bounds. He ran a long way for a 6-yard return.
He didn't get much, but I bet nobody took their eyes off him that whole time.
Now we'll go back to New York here shortly for the NASDAQ halftime report. Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert with scores and highlights.
I'll be interested to hear what Marcus thinks about this. Marcus has seen a few football games in this stadium and a few games between these 2 teams.
Now Seattle with 1 timeout left and Warren Moon in at quarterback. 14-7.
If you're Denver, you better keep real close track of Joey Galloway. Lose track of whoever you want, but don't lose track of him.
Moon hit as he lets it go. It's caught by Galloway. He's down to the 33-yard line. And they'll run the hurry-up offense now, trying to save the 1 timeout they do have in their pocket.
Not too much of a hurry-up. They're just sort of moseying.
That's a Seattle mosey. 32 seconds to go. Here's Moon back. And there's Moon down. That's Harold Hasselback, native Canadian. Got a bunch of friends who crossed the border and came down to watch him today.
Hasselback at the right defensive end, working against Walter Jones. That's just great technique. You know, John Tierling's their pass rush specialist coach at Denver. And that's an example.
Timeout, Seattle. That's their 3rd and final timeout. 30-second timeout.
That's an example of just applying exactly what the coaches taught you, the techniques, an arm over, a slap, and the hands were gone.
Tomorrow on CBS, if you haven't seen it, you're missing the funniest new comedy of the year. Kevin James and Ben Stiller star in The King of Queens, Monday on CBS. Like Jerry to me. 3rd down. Let's check in with Michelle.
Well, you notice Ray Crockett back in the game. He has a twisted right ankle. The medical staff simply retaped his foot and ankle around the outside of the shoe. As for Tony Jones, he has a twisted left ankle. His return in this game, guys, is questionable.
All right, Michelle, thank you.
That really plays into the Seattle defensive thinking. You've got Matt Lepsis on one side. You've got Harry Swain on the other. You've got a weakness you can attack and exploit.
Galloway, Brian Blades in the lineup. 3rd down and 11 after the sack of Warren Moon.
It's 3rd down, 11 yards to go from the 25.
Ricky Waters in the backfield. Rush coming from the outside. Moon sacked for the second time in succession.
Tanavasa was the first one coming from the other end, got there first. See, Ma is one of the guys, too, that can wear that shaded visor, not just a clear visor. Coming from underneath at the left defensive end, he just rips right underneath. They had the blitz coming. So not only does Neil Smith get there, Harold Hasselbeck gets there, and Tanavasa just busts right through Kendall, right through Glover, the center, to get this sack.
Broncos call a timeout. They've got 2 remaining. There's Tanavasa. Said all of this is really the realization of a dream. As a young boy growing up on the island of Oahu, he played collegiately for the University of Hawaii. But he said actually playing in the National Football League and then starting for the defending world champion, something he could not envision when he was a boy.
He's only 267 pounds, and he looks like a linebacker. I guarantee he's 20 pounds lighter than Levon Kirkland, the inside linebacker in Pittsburgh.
Now Fiegels at the 5. Gordon waits for it at his own 30-yard line. And Fiegels does not get off his best punt, but it does take a lateral bounce and will come to a rest inside the 35-yard line. And 2 flags are down back near the 10-yard line. 49-yard punt, nothing on the return, and it managed to chew up all but 5 seconds.
They have a holding penalty. Waiting for that ball to come to rest. Ran 7 seconds off the clock.
By the way, we talked about the linebacker, number 94. Umpire's name, Chad Brown.
Holding by the kicking team, number 51. It's a 10-yard penalty before the punt. 4th down is repeated.
Yet again, an infraction on special teams. That's 4 penalties today on punting situations, either kicking or receiving, for Dennis Erickson's
And look
team.
at Dennis Erickson. Dennis Erickson's got to look on his horse. So I really don't get it. And if Dennis Erickson doesn't get it, Pete Rodriguez, his special teams coach, really doesn't get it. But I tell you who's going to get it. The Seattle Seahawks, in about 5 seconds, when they get inside, face Pete Rodriguez and Dennis Erickson, are going to hear an awful lot about playing stupid against a defending world champion.
5 seconds remaining, and the Seahawks will be forced to punt again.
This will be a nice talk at halftime, and a lot of it has to be, do you guys understand how lucky you are to be down by 7 points against Denver with the mistakes you've made?
Fiegels. This one way up in the air, and Gordon will let it bounce. Interesting tactic. He came over to the right side. Fiegels punted it away from him, and we have reached the end of the first half with our score, 14-7 Broncos. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert. All the latest NFL news, that's all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. The end of the first half with our score, 14-7 Broncos. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert. All the latest NFL news, that's all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
All right, welcome to the NASDAQ Halftime Report. Jim Nantz with you from the CBS Broadcast Center in New York. And remember, the Broncos have won the last 28 times they went to the locker room with a halftime lead. Up here 14-7, Marcus, Brent, and George alongside. This looked like it could be a blowout there when it was 14-0 in the first quarter.
Oh, I thought it was a blowout. John Elway came out smoking, 2 touchdown passes. Rod Smith, 6 receptions for 105 yards. And then all of a sudden, 2 interceptions. And Darren Smith runs one back. All of a sudden, Seattle has hope, and they're in the game, but they have to pick it up on offense.
And how about the Seahawks? 4 times this year they've returned an interception for a touchdown with the Smith INT run back today. All right, elsewhere in the NFL today, the Chargers and the Raiders, and this is already 6 minutes into the third quarter. All we have here, Brent, is a field goal in the game.
Yeah, well, the Blue Angels are flying over. That's some excitement.
And here's the the one punt return to set up the John Carney field goal.
Material Rochelle down the field makes a heck of a run.
It's easy for you to say. Chargers lead over the Raiders, and the visiting team in this matchup has won the last 4 times. Visiting team leads right now, third quarter. All right, elsewhere, Jets and the Rams. Foley's been picked off once. He's thrown for only 76 yards, and the Rams lead it as they see Vinny Testaverde does not get the call. He gets the headphones instead, and look at this, George.
Boy, an unblocked Todd Light comes off on a corner blitz. This really isn't Foley's problem, or it's his problem, but not his fault. This sets up the go-ahead touchdown, or the initial touchdown as far as the Rams are concerned.
I knew I should have blocked the Todd Light. Rams with a touchdown pass from Banks and a run by Ampley for a score. Bears and Cardinals. Just 5 minutes to go, third quarter, and 5 turnovers committed by the Bears, including Eric Kramer throwing 3 pickoffs in the first half. At Kansas City and New England earlier today, and the Patriots were up 27-0 at halftime here.
Ben Coates running the flat and up. The DB's got the flat covered, but not the up. Nobody home. Touchdown for Ben Coates.
And as you called it, Brent, Cincinnati prevailed, upsetting Pittsburgh. O'Donnell against his old team with the winner, Carl Pickens, in the closing seconds. And the Oilers win at Baltimore.
Yes, Brown in there. Didn't do it in the air, but he did it on the ground. 40-yard touchdown. Leads him up 10, 12, the 8.
Eddie George over a hondo for that team. Buffalo and the Magic Man, Doug Flutie, super sub, comes in for the Rob Johnson injury with the bruised ribs, and Flutie throws 2 touchdowns, leads the Bills to victory. Steve Young ties Joe Montana's NFL record. 5 straight games, over 300 yards passing.
Boy, where's the New Orleans Saints defense on this play? Just a heck of a run. Look at the block downfield there by Terrell Owens just before the touchdown.
Jason Garrett led the Cowboys to a win. They're now 4-2, while the hapless Panthers, even with Steve Berline performing at a very high level today, are winless at 0-5. And the Eagles get their first win. Rodney Peete, 4-0 as a Philly starter against the Skins in his career, gives the Eagles their first win, while Washington slides to 0-6 for the first time since 1961 when the Skins were coached by Bill McPeak. Thanks for watching the NASDAQ Halftime Report, and we'll send you back to the game as we enjoy Elway's second touchdown pass of the first half to Shannon Sharp. Continue here on CBS in a moment.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market. CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
Halftime and CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.
The great NFL action, the address is CBS.
Get set for the start of the third quarter here at the Kingdome in Seattle. A sellout crowd, very encouraged, I would think, at this point as the Seahawks find themselves trailing the world champions only 14-7.
Especially with all the mistakes they've made. And, you know, Denver has had a couple of dings and injuries with Crockett going down and Tony Jones going down. John Elway's going to have a couple of inexperienced linemen in different spots, so expect Seattle to keep attacking this Denver offense. And Denver's off. They are just not what we'd normally come to expect out of Denver, so it's going to be a matter of who makes the mistakes on the Denver side that might cost them.
Well, let's take a look statistically at how it breaks out at the half. John Elway, for example, started 5 of 6, only 3 of his last 12. First downs go to the Broncos 9-6. Rushing yardage, Terrell Davis having a good first half. But the turnovers, 2 for Denver, both on John Elway interceptions. And, of course, Darren Smith returned one of those interceptions for a touchdown. Let's go back and take a look at, first of all, John Elway to Rod Smith.
Well, you know, early, Vern, it looked like Denver offense, business as usual. Elway rolls right, throws a deep one to Rod Smith. They like that one so much, he throws this one to Shannon Sharp, who tries to quiet the crowd. But then, as the crowd was being quiet, Darren Smith steps in front, gets himself an interception.
And so as we get set for the start of the third, John Elway warming up on the sidelines, and the Seattle Seahawks find themselves trailing only 14-7. Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Vern and Randy, Mike Shanahan told me at halftime he's not too concerned about John Elway's 2 interceptions. He said those were simply great defensive plays made by Seattle. He's more concerned about the holding penalties that are stifling Denver's offensive drives. As for Dennis Erickson, he wants his team to be more consistent on offense. He's very happy with his defense right now. But Randy, you were right. They talked about special teams, and they also talked about holding penalties. Back upstairs to you.
Well, that's what's killed Dennis Erickson. He's got to be thinking now almost what if. What if my special teams hadn't been killing me? We've caught Denver on a day where they're not special. And Warren Moon, remember, is in this game with a cracked rib. He's wearing that big pad. He's had the injection. He's not having a great Warren Moon day. But Denver, when you hit them like this, when they're not clicking and going crazy, you got to take advantage of them. And 50% for about 109 yards out of Warren Moon is not my definition of taking advantage of them.
Seahawks will get the ball to start the third quarter. Jason Elam will kick off for the Broncos.
The play selection for Seattle in the first half, 22 passes and 10 rushes. They came in here wanting to do a lot more balanced attack against this Denver defense.
Steve Broussard mentioned in the first half he had a 90-yard kickoff return earlier this season. That against the Redskins. The Seahawks lead the league in average start per drive after kickoffs. They've averaged starting at the 30-yard line, so they've done a good job in this facet of things. Here's Broussard from the 5. And they will be just short of the 30 as they put the ball in play. First down and 10 now. Trailing by 7. This is a Seattle team Randy was talking about. They started off by rolling over Philadelphia, Arizona, and Washington, but then they ran into Pittsburgh on the road. 5 turnovers in that game. They lost in the monsoon to Kansas City, and they've been playing coulda, shoulda, woulda all week long.
You know, they are a lot like Denver. Right now, they are not quite positive what kind of football team they have. Denver's undefeated. Don't get me wrong. They are good, but they haven't played anybody that's really challenged them yet.
Mike Pritchard in motion on first down and 10. Blitz coming. Handoff. Ricky Waters bounces it to the outside and picks up a couple to the 32-yard line. Tackle was made by John Mobley, number 51.
It is an absolutely vital part of the second half for the Seahawks is running the ball against this defense. And John Mobley and the linebackers are a big part of how you attack the Denver defense. You can't hit up and then go sideways and then try to get outside. Those linebackers are so fast, they're going to be all over you before you even think about cutting up. You got to run right at these guys.
Double tight end set now for the Seahawks. Pritchard in motion to the right. Second down and 8. The toss to Waters. Galloway tries to help him. Waters cuts it up inside Galloway's block, and he gets to the 36-yard line. Runs into Neil Smith, number 90, and Glenn Cadrez, number 59.
Ricky Waters on the day so far has got 10 rushes for 40 yards. And 4 yards of crack, not bad, but you've got to give him the ball more. They only ran 10 running plays overall in the first half, now up to 12 overall.
John Elway stretching on the sideline. Missed 2.5 games, hamstring. Here's Moon, right side for Galloway, goes down and grabs it at the shoe tops. That will keep the drive alive. Joey Galloway.
Remember the first half, Moon threw him almost the exact same pass about knee high. Joey Galloway tried to reach down and grab it. This time, Warren Moon on the same sort of timing pattern puts it down his knees. Joey Galloway goes down and wraps his body around the ball and makes sure he gets it.
4 catches for Galloway now, who sets up this time out left. Early moments, second half. Play fake. Warren Moon goes into the flat left side, and it is grabbed by Max Strong. He almost dropped it.
Ah, the joys of AstroTurf. AstroTurf for grass. Sometime when you're running backwards, especially when you're a fullback, a couple of good feet are a terrible thing to waste.
Strong hangs on, and now Denver goes into its nickel defense on second down and 4. Kevin Glover over the ball for the Seattle Seahawks. Here's the toss to Waters. He is jammed up as he gets to the 50. He does manage the 49-yard line, but that's going to be short of the first down. Glenn Cadrez, 59, makes the tackle.
And Cadrez has been a great addition here to this defense. He's been here a while, but he hasn't always been the starter. Alan Aldridge was starting for the Super Bowl team last week. Aldridge is in Detroit this year. Cadrez just flows over and makes that stop on Ricky Waters. And, you know, Vern, the one thing about this offense, though, that I think is severely missing is Ricky Waters used to be one of the best receiving backs out of the backfield. They never throw him the ball.
Seattle only 2 of 9 on third down conversions. And Warren Moon will throw. This time it's caught by Galloway. who is out of bounds at the 42, but again on third down, Joey Galloway, who has his 5th grab of the day, keeps the drive going.
I guarantee you, Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator of Denver, is perfectly happy if they're going to throw the ball to Joey Galloway as he comes out of motion in the slot there. Little short dinksters and dunksters. I mean, they'll give him 4, 5, 6s and think they can tackle him before he can do anything. Keep this guy in front of you. Behind you, he's pure 6 points.
First down and 10, Seattle trailing by 7, opening drive. There's a pump fake by Moon. He's being chased as he goes right and just lobs that one out of bounds. Neil Smith and Ma'a Tanabasu had a beating at Warren Moon.
Boy, remember Warren Moon has got bad ribs to start with. This is not easy for him to get out here and run around. And then he just gets that shot. I don't care if it is on his right side, ladies and gentlemen. You get hit anywhere on those ribs, it's going to hurt.
From the 42, second down and 10. James McKnight is on the field as the Seahawks now have Blades in the slot to the left. 3 wide receivers and 2 tight ends, 1 running back. That's Ricky Waters. Draw play. Waters up the middle inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. Steve Atwater makes the tackle. And yet again, Seattle's looking at the third down.
And Warren Moon and this offense right now are showing extremely good patience. Bob Radkowski, their offensive coordinators, upstairs just patiently taking the little things. Denver's not a team that gives you the big shots and the big opportunities until they decide to blitz you, until they bring the heat. Then you've got a chance down the field.
Blades in the slot to the left. This the 9th play of the drive. Warren Moon back. Runs, finds his tight end Fourier to the 30. Christian Fourier, first down, Seattle.
Christian Fourier on this play initially was a pass blocker, blocking for Warren Moon. When Warren Moon going to his right, you see how uncomfortable he is throwing back across his body, that little flip pass. And Christian Fourier evades a couple of tacklers, and he was looking for a spot to go down for quite a few yards, but it took him 15 yards to finally do it.
Randy, on this drive, that's 3 third down conversions in succession. A gain of 16, play fake, Moon down the middle for Carlester Crumpler, and John Mobley had it. Now flag comes.
That's going to be a defensive penalty for head contact. Leading with the head.
Eric Brown, rookie strong safety, number 26. With a look of concern, is he the guy?
Carlester Crumpler was the definition of unprotected player as that ball was knocked away. And that really should have been an interception. That ball was thrown right into the arms of the defender by Warren Moon.
Hockley.
After the pass was incomplete, personal foul by the defense, unnecessary roughness, 15-yard penalty, first down.
No culprit identified.
There's Carlester Crumpler running with John Mobley. Mobley has the chance at the interception. And as the ball's already been knocked away, Brown just goes right up into the upper body of Carlester Crumpler. Yippee! Yay! Yay! All right, didn't I do a good thing? Coaches, look at what? Whoa! Yo! Whoa! That's not on me now, is it?
Eric Brown from San Antonio by way of Blinn Junior College in Texas, and then Mississippi State, second-round draft pick, and he earned his starting spot before the season began, but a costly penalty there. In the red zone this season, Seattle, 6 touchdowns and 13 tries. The ball is marked for play at the 11. Toss to Waters, goes left, strong with a block. And Ricky Waters spilled at the 6-yard line. John Mobley with the tackle.
Good execution and patience by Ricky Waters, because as that run unfolded, it gives you an example of how hard it is to run against this Denver defense, because they come at you in waves. So when you get the ball and you're Ricky Waters, you're going left, you say, I got to cut up, but there's the first wave, now the second wave, now the third wave is where I want to go up forward.
Quick count and a quick handoff to Max Strong. He gets just to the 5-yard line. It'll be third down again. Tanabasu makes the tackle here.
Yeah, Dennis Erickson's offense, when they were in at halftime, and Michelle said, he's talking about a little disappointed about certain things that were going on offensively, and he liked what the defense was doing. When he talked to his team about how he wanted to come out here in the second half against Denver, this is how he wanted to come out. Taking time off the ball, taking time off the clock, and moving the ball. There's Bob Radkowski on the left side there.
13th play of the drive on third down. Warren Moon, blitz coming, gets rid of it, incomplete. Intended for Max Strong. Tyrone Braxton came from the safety spot.
You just got to love the aggressive nature of the Denver defense. Blitzing linebackers, blitzing safeties. In this case, Tyrone Braxton is all in Warren Moon's face. And that's just being able to have the guts to make the call on that kind of a part of the field, because not a lot of people like to blitz and go crazy, and they can give up 6 points if they're not right.
Now on the 14th play of the drive, Todd Peterson will try the field goal. Jeff Feagles will hold it. Seattle Seahawks open the third quarter by driving the length of the field. They go 70 yards, but they have to settle for 3. Todd Peterson's 23-yard field goal cuts the margin to 4. The scoring drive 65 yards, 14 plays, and it took 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Now Peterson getting ready to kick it deep. Vaughn Hebron waits at the goal line. 14-10 with 8:24 to go, third quarter. This one's short. Bounces at the 18. Hebron on the run at the 12. And still running as he gets out into a nice open field tackle at the 28-yard line. Deshaun Miles, number 50, got there to make the stop. So the Broncos come on, leading by 4.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Broncos on offense, first time third quarter. John Elway has hit only 3 of his last 12 passes, and 2 of them have been intercepted. He hands it off to Terrell Davis, and Davis is down after a pickup of 2. Check out CBS Sportsline NFL Archives, where you'll get all the top stories, photos, and stats from every week of the season. Get 24-hour NFL coverage on cbs.sportsline.com. Broncos operating with Harry Swain, the right tackle, moving to the left side, and second-year pro Matt Lepsis, number 78, now at right tackle.
And Lepsis working against Sinclair, who's leading the NFL in sacks.
And there is Lepsis moving. Number 78 flinched. Offensive penalty.
For the snap, full start. Offense number 84. Contact penalty, still second down.
They call Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp right here, working in the left side of your screen. Sinclair's in the gap between Lepsis and Shannon. And I think Shannon might have taken the rap for the youngster 78 out of Colorado. Sinclair, I should have said, is leading the AFC in sacks. Kevin Green out of Carolina with 9 is leading the NFL.
6 penalty against the Broncos. Second down, 15. 14-10. There comes the stunts. There's a fumble by Elway, and he is sacked at the 15. That is the second fumble for John Elway today. One came out of a direct snap from center. This one out of the shotgun.
Tom Nalen, one of the better centers in the NFL, just doesn't even get close to John Elway. So that ball's supposed to come somewhere back around John Elway's left hip, and it gets a lot closer to Terrell Davis's left hip than it does Elway's. Now listen to this crowd.
5-man rush. They got Elway again.
Sinclair on the left side. Adams inside. First pressure, Sinclair. Sack, Matt LeBounty. Now this is a little bit of the old Kingdom you came to know and love when you couldn't hear yourself think and you could physically actually feel the sound on your arms.
Tom Ruin on the punt on 4th and years. Joey Galloway waits at the 45. Here's the punt. It's a super punt, but it will be returned. Galloway at the 30. Looks for blocking help from Sean Springs. Weaves, bobs, and spurts out to the 49-yard line. A 61-yard Ruin punt. A 19-yard Galloway return. 6:08 to go, third quarter. Second time today that the Seattle defense has forced Denver 3 and out. They did so in the opening drive. Then Elway came back and threw for 2 touchdowns. However, Darren Smith picked off a John Elway pass to return to 23 yards. That made it 14-7. And to open this quarter, the Seahawks went the length of the field and got a field goal. They now trail by 4. Here's Mike Pritchard in motion. Hand off Waters, right side, hit as he penetrates the neutral zone. Inside by Marvin Washington, number 95.
Well, Dennis Erickson's offense is committed to exactly how they ran the first drive. They're going to do the exact same thing again. They're going to give you a lot of Ricky Waters. They're going to give you short passes. They're going to be very consistent and try not to be the team right now that makes the bad mistake.
Second down and 7. Pritchard goes left. Galloway comes right. He works against Darius Johnson, number 25, who's in at the corner for Crockett. Here's Moon. Flag is down, and Ricky Waters drops the ball. Penalty at the 49, thrown by the umpire. Tripping.
Tripping by the offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Pete Kendall called for the penalty.
That's not really surprising out of Kendall. Kendall, of all those offensive linemen up there for the Seattle Seahawks, is your scraper and clawer and killer. And we'll look at the guards in general. Watch the 2 guards. You got Habib on the left side. You got Kendall on the right. And he just sort of whacks his right leg out there and trips up the Denver defender on the way through. But that is Pete Kendall. He's a guy out of Boston College that'll fight you. But then again, he's got to explain to that face right there exactly what he did.
Penalty moves the ball back to the 43. Here's Moon back. Screen pass. Left side. Waters gets some blocks. And then a nice open field tackle from John Mobley knocks him down at the 48-yard line. That's a gain of 9. Mobley playing with a hamstring pull today.
And that's a little bit of what I'm talking about, Vern, with Ricky Waters. Find a way to create him space. If they're not giving him space to run in outside, let him run with a little flare pass. Throwing him out in the flat. Bring him around on a curl. I mean, this guy can catch the ball. Heck, Lou Holtz tried to make a wide receiver out of him in Notre Dame.
Look where Lou Holtz wound up, in our studio. 3rd and 8. Here's Moon. I'm not sure to whom that was thrown. Galloway was about 5 yards away. It'll be 4th down.
Somebody's got some explaining to do to Warren Moon. And, you know, Dennis Erickson told us Friday, Vern, it's the one thing that's plagued this offense, besides the penalties and some of these mistakes, has been the just sort of vapor locks mentally some of the receivers have made. And he actually was fairly critical of Warren Moon, some of the decisions he has made in the passing game.
Jeff Feagles will punt it deep to Darian Gordon. Nice and high. And this one should be down inside the 5. Feagles excels at that. That's 11 punts this season. for Jeff Fiegels that have been down inside the 20-yard line. This one is down inside the 5-yard line. A 45-yard punt, nothing on the return. Fiegels has pinned the Broncos back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Saturn, Degree, and by Wendy's.
Denver Broncos have won 5 in a row this season. They had a tough Monday night encounter against New England. Subsequently rolled over 4 opponents, but they find themselves in a fist fight here in the Kingdome. And they are pinned inside their 5-yard line.
They're bringing on the noise, and the noise is facing the leading rushing team in the NFL.
Terrell Davis left, got him at the 5. He picked up 2.
Seattle defense is what's really gotten this crowd pumped up today. Darren Smith and his interception for a touchdown, second of his career. The next interception by Sean Springs on an overthrow of Ed McCaffrey. Just in general, they've made the plays when they've had to, and when Denver made a mistake, the defense took advantage and sacked it.
Second and 8. McCaffrey in motion. Blitz coming again. They hand it off to Davis. He cuts it back to his right and works out to the 11-yard line. That will set up a 3rd and 2.5. See where they spot it.
Well, I'll tell you, Terrell Davis will make anyone nervous playing defense, because once Darren Smith goes inside, LeBounty gets hooked outside. Unless you've got him down, Terrell Davis is a runner that can always break for the big run. He can break from the big run almost off his knees.
Call it officially 3rd and 3. Back split behind John Elway. Play fake. He gets a block, comes into Howard Griffith, and it's incomplete. 4th down. Broncos will be forced to punt. Second time in this half that Seattle has forced Denver to 3 and out.
In pressure situations this year, you've seen the Denver offense go to Howard Griffith in the flat, either from out of the backfield or off of motion. Seattle didn't fall for it. Elway was pressured and had to short arm it down into Griffith's feet.
Joey Galloway waits for the ball at the 40-yard line, barring misfortune or a penalty. And now the Broncos call timeout. Derek LaVille, number 31, saw something he didn't like. And now Mike Shanahan sees something he didn't like.
Yeah, one of his timeouts just went away.
3:17 remaining 3rd quarter. Tom Ruin on to punt from his end zone. And Joey Galloway hoping for a line drive punt.
Yeah, Tom Ruin's been great about hanging the ball up in the air and kicking it a long ways. A low one would really be a waste of Mike Shanahan's timeout, because Galloway could bring it back the whole way.
Return on, and this is very short. But it takes... Oh, boy. It took a Denver roll, and then Galloway grabs it out of bounds. Next Saturday, points leader Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Randy LaJoie, and Adam Petty among those. Expected to slug it out at the CarQuest Auto Parts 250. That's Saturday, 12:30 on CBS. And then NASDAQ College Football. Some of you will see Auburn against Florida, or others will watch Syracuse, the Orange Men, Donovan McNabb go against the Eagles of Boston College.
So I guess you could pretty much catch the first 125 miles of the race and then get to Florida in time for the football game?
Well, if you break the speed limit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the cockpit. You do it. Here's play fake, and Moon going deep. Galloway tipped off. Boy, Darius Johnson drew a bead on the ball and thought he had the interception.
That is about the 3rd or 4th time we've seen defenders on both sides of the ball have clean shots at interceptions and not get them. And that's not counting the one that zipped right over Sean Springs' head in the first half. Joey Galloway, they're doing the smart thing. They're finding the ways. They're creating the opportunities to get him open. But when you're going to throw the ball that high, you're asking for some serious trouble for your best wide receiver hanging him out to dry like that, though.
Mike Pritchard in motion. And another penalty.
The house fell off his foundation.
That would be Howard Ballard at right tackle.
Before the snap, full start, offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, it's still second down.
I wonder if he'll find himself.
You remember those shots in the California with those terrible rains where you see the houses sliding down the hills? Watch Howard Ballard, the right tackle, it just sort of coming down the canyon at you.
Like a Malibu house.
Yeah, I grew up in L.A. watching the house races.
Howard Ballard is the judge and jury of the fine system imposed by the Seahawks. There's no arguing with Howard Ballard. He imposes fines for all sorts of infractions. The Broncos, on the other hand, fine each other for a variety of things, but it's a committee vote. Here's Moon back, and he overshoots an open Ricky Waters. Wow, bad pass. Well, Warren Moon looks chagrined. We'll go back to New York and check in with Jim Nance.
Well, you know, Vern and Randy, all week Bill Parcells said this was a dangerous spot for his Jets. He wasn't kidding. They've turned it over 5 times. They brought in Testaverde now for Foley, and that's the first touchdown of the day for the Jets. But it looks like the Rams are going to snap an 8-game losing streak at home. 10 minutes to go. Let's head back to Seattle.
All right, Jim.
I think you just saw the future starting quarterback for the rest of this football season for the New York Jets, Vinny Testaverde. We know Foley can come off the bench. We don't know much about how he does as a starter right now.
Blitz coming. Warren Moon not very agile, in trouble, and he tries to find Broussard. And Steve Atwater coming on the blitz. Got to Warren Moon.
Now, you hear of fingertip tackles and shoelace tackles, and you're about to see a fingertip blitz. Watch Atwater just barely. I mean, just barely. That's about a finger sack almost. He pulls him down and should go into stats as a finger sack for Atwater, because as strong as he is, he didn't get more than 1 or 2 fingers on Elway, but he got just enough to disrupt him.
Now Jeff Fiegels back to punt, and Gordon waits for it inside the 20-yard line. Fiegels comes right. Gordon drifts over. It will bounce. And Darian Gordon, as a flag is thrown, has the ball at the 10-yard line. Tries to spin out of the tackle, but another flag on a punt. And this one's going to go, oh boy. Rodriguez and Dennis Erickson are going to go crazy on the sideline. Well, maybe not. Certain equanimity about
Before
it
the
all.
kick, holding by the kicking team, number 57. 10-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
That just doesn't seem to make sense sometimes when you're standing on the sideline in an NFL game and you're watching this. I mean, you've got bombs falling all around you and you can't figure out where they're coming. Watch the 2-point takedown. There's the 1-pointer, then there's a 2-point. Right in the middle of the screen. Head over heels. Come fly with me holding. You don't get any better than that if you're going to just grab somebody and you're going to submit them to a little bit of a ride. Jason Kyle got his money's worth there.
10 penalties for Seattle, 5 on special teams plays today. That hole in the right foot comes from self-destructive gunfire.
I tell you, what you're asking for right now, too, is a block. One guy overdoes something inside, that's going to free somebody up.
Here's Fiegels. And Darian Gordon waits and grabs it at the 19. To the 40. And out to the 45-yard line. 57-yard punt and 26 on the return. Well, we'll come back with you the NFL on CBS next Sunday. Most of you will see Baltimore take on Pittsburgh. Others will watch Jacksonville, Buffalo, or Cincinnati, Tennessee. And we're going to let Randy Cross head back home to the Bay Area. We'll be down in San Francisco for the Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I'm also going to be very curious to see how Bill Cowher's Pittsburgh Steelers team reacts after that loss today to the Cincinnati Bengals. We've seen how Denver's defense reacted. How does John Elway and this offense react with a short field?
See that San Diego Oakland score? More on that in a sec. Here's Elway. dodges a sack, throws it to Griffith, completes the play, and picks up 3 yards.
I really like the attack that defensive coordinator Greg McMackin is taking with his defense. He's bringing 5 rushers. Every play he's blitzing somebody. In this case, it was Bellamy, number 20, the safety blitzing. But John Elway just kind of runs out of partners up front. He's going to get pressure from Dan Saliamua, a little pressure from Sinclair running by him the other way. They're attacking, and it's working.
2nd and 6 after the 4-yard gain. Griffith sets up to the left side, and Elway dances back to throw. That one is caught. Rod Smith again. First down, Denver at the 32. A 17-yard gain. John Elway, Rod Smith.
And John Elway stands in. Watch Terrell Davis in the block. He tries to put on Deshaun Miles. Miles just blows him back into Elway's lap, but it was all John Elway needed to get this in there. Look at that. I mean, that is just getting hammered by the Pro Bowler. He grabs Elway by the back of the helmet.
You've been in a few film sessions.
Yeah.
Terrell Davis catch a little bit on Monday.
He might get fined for looking bad like that.
Elway with a play fake. The blitz coming from Darren Smith to Shannon Sharp. And that's another Denver first down at the 21. Jay Bellamy made the tackle, but it's a 13-yard gain.
Well, here's what you're seeing. You're seeing a defense attack, a defense be aggressive, and a veteran quarterback show them right now why you can't always be aggressive and attack a John Elway. Because they've almost got there twice, but almost ended up in 2 big games.
Another Denver first down, 35 seconds to go, quarter number 3. Broncos by 4. Terrell Davis skips to the outside, cuts it upfield, and gets down to the 16-yard line. Cortez Kennedy makes the tackle.
What a difference, though, Vern, between when Seattle got the ball and had the short part of the field to go. They go 3 and out. Denver gets it back about 2 series later to short field, and they're making something of this right now.
That'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter. The Denver Broncos have won their last 28 games when leading at the half. They lead at the end of 3 here. 14-10. We'll return to the Kingdom right after this message. And a word from your local station. Welcome back to the Kingdom in Seattle. We begin the start of the 4th quarter with Randy Cross and Michelle Tafoya. I'm Vern Lundquist. The Broncos lead at 14-10, and they are threatening again. They've not trailed now for 13 consecutive quarters. But they've not exploded today offensively they have.
The main reason they haven't trailed is they've been so dominant. They have not been dominant. They've been more dumb than dominant.
2nd down, 2 receivers right side. Griffith moves over to the left behind Elway. They hand it to Terrell Davis. He goes left, cuts it up, and has a 1st and goal, Denver at the 7-yard line. A 9-yard gain, Terrell Davis closing in on his 5th consecutive game of 100 yards plus.
Look at the eyes of Terrell Davis checking out the defense. Where can I go? Well, the cutback's not there. Why don't I just scoot it outside? We talk about what this Denver team has done so far today. Have they looked good? Heck no, they haven't looked good. But a championship team knows how to look good when they have to look good. And they have looked good. 1 more touchdown to be the Broncos' all-time leader in rushing touchdowns.
They hand it to Terrell Davis. He cuts it up to the 1, maybe the 2-yard line. See where the ball is spotted. Terrell Davis with 8 touchdowns this season.
His eyes lit up when I talked to him on the feature that was on the NFL Today and the pre-game show today. His eyes lit up when I mentioned the fact that he could get after Emmitt Smith's touchdown record. You see Terrell Davis, 21 carries for 100 yards, 5 games in a row against the Seahawks going over for 100 yards. I'm sure for Erickson and the group, that's getting old.
2nd and goal. Terrell Davis, 9 touchdowns for the season. And for the 5th consecutive game, he is over 100 yards. That's his 9th this year. And he is the all-time rushing touchdown scorer for the Denver Broncos.
When he did this against the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl last year, after the game, the Packers said, we let him score. Seattle just made it look like they let him score. That was a 5-yard wide hole. An excellent job by Terrell Davis' guys up front. That was a gimme.
Jason Elam out of Tom Ruin's hole for the extra point. It is up and it is good. Terrell Davis. He's only in his 4th season. My, what a future. What a present. Terrell Davis gets his 9th touchdown of the season on the ground, and that increases the Denver lead to 11 now, 21-10. They went 7 plays, 55 yards, took 3:31, and John Elway 3 of 3 on the drive. Now Jason Elam will kick off. Broussard and Green wait for it. This will be Green, the rookie out of Nebraska from the 6-yard line. Does not have a chance to use his great speed. Down at the 22.
I want to know 2 things. One is Tony Jones is back in at left tackle, but watch Mark Schlereth working right here against Saliamua. Schlereth is going to go into the bye week next week and do what he normally does. You know, some guys go on vacation, some guys go home, others go do a little work, spend some time with their kids. Mark Schlereth is going to go get a little surgery. His 22nd surgery, his 12th on his knee.
Tony Jones, number 77. And a new quarterback, John Freeze, in for Warren Moon. A handoff, Ricky Waters. A flag will bring this one back.
Well, real quick on that quarterback change, you know that wasn't Warren Moon's idea.
No. And the first thing the Seahawks do is shoot themselves in the other foot. This will come back and cost him 10. John Freeze.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty. It's still first down.
At the rate they've been pulling off rounds towards their feet, they're going to have to start aiming for their ankles because their feet are about gone.
Well, we have seen Warren Moon in difficulty in this half, particularly overthrowing receivers who were open, struggling with that cracked rib. So John Freeze, who won the backup spot over John Kitna, is on, and Warren Moon apparently done for the day.
His job is to be a spark here, and for what they pay him, he better be a spark.
Freeze back. Took all the snaps with the regular team, the first team this week. Here's Ricky Waters, who was telling us yesterday that it really did help in terms of timing. He normally, is serving with the second team guys, but Warren Moon sat out 2 days of practice this week, so Freeze did get the reps.
Yeah, he had them all on Wednesday and Thursday, and Warren Moon, like we said, injected those ribs and practiced on Thursday and said, hey, I'm going to go for as hard and as long as I can.
2nd and 14. James McKnight on the field now. 21-10, 13-12 to go. Here's Freeze back. Finds McKnight. And McKnight leans out, does not quite get the first down, but a nice effort.
And that's the kind of play he wasn't making. That's why Brian Blades was getting the opportunities to be the 3rd receiver. The success of this passing game has come predominantly in crossing patterns across the field. As you see McKnight enter from the left side of the screen, and smartly, instead of keeping crossing, he runs right up the field.
3rd and 1. And Seattle trailing by 11. 3rd and 1. Waters.
Hey, it's over!
And we welcome those of you expecting to see 60 minutes. 60 minutes will be along in its entirety except on the West Coast when our game is complete. And we've got 11 minutes and 53 seconds to go from the Kingdome in Seattle. A first down run by Ricky Waters has given Seattle a fresh series of downs. Here's the toss to Waters as they try the right side. Seahawks down by 11 to the undefeated Denver Broncos, and Waters spilled at the 41-yard line.
Right now, they are running an offensive urgency. There's no longer that calm about this offense. Now they're moving the ball like they need to move the ball. And for the first time today, Dennis Erickson's offense looks aggressive.
Ricky Waters with 62 yards on 16 carries. And 60 minutes will follow this football telecast, except on the West Coast, as soon as we have reached completion. 11:07 to go. John Freeze is down. Trevor Price. Flank is down as well.
Ed Hockley had to call down that last little pull and yank he gave John Freeze at the end. He was down and he was sacked and he kept going after him, but that was hardly what I'd call blatant and aggressive. Trevor Price, a first rounder last year out of Clemson.
Personal foul. Other defense, number 93. Unnecessary roughness, throwing the quarterback to the ground. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Look at Mike. Mike Shanahan says he was not down. How can you throw him down if he's not down? Trevor Price coming from the right defensive tackle spot. Good job of pass rush right there. Whistle's blown. 1, 2. It was a second push down. You know, I agree in taking care of the quarterbacks, but you don't have to adopt them.
Second down, under 11 to go. 21-10. If you just did join us, John Elway was torrid at the beginning of the ballgame. 2 touchdown passes in the first quarter, but Darren Smith intercepted Elway, returned it for a touchdown. That made it 14-7. That's where we were at the half. Warren Moon is out of the game now. He gives way to John Freeze. Warren ineffective, particularly in the third quarter because of the cracked rib. And here's Freeze, right side. Mike Pritchard is loose. Foot race. Mike Pritchard, no flags, touchdown. And a bit of a mocking salute from the former Denver Bronco, I think.
Mike Pritchard, the former running back at Colorado, been converted into a receiver. They did it at Atlanta when he was a slot receiver in the run and shoot. They did it at Denver, and Seattle does it here, and that's get him the ball in air, let him work against Darian Gordon, and let him use that speed. And that was a good pass by John Freeze, and that was Pritchard burning it. And that's a hi, how are you to his buddies back in Denver.
And the Seattle Seahawks will go for 2 points. They are 0 for 1 2-point conversions this season. They opt for the 2-point try. That's Pritchard in motion. Toss to Waters. Cuts it upfield and is stopped short.
Harold Hasselbeck was right there. Ran down the line of scrimmage the whole way and stuffed that 2-point conversion. That's too bad, but it doesn't take any sting off that long Pritchard touchdown run.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda, First Union, and by the U.S. Postal Service.
10 minutes, 34 seconds remaining in regulation time. 21-16, Denver leading Seattle. And Todd Peterson getting set to kick off.
Well, John Freeze came in for Warren Moon. We said he had to be the spark, and he and Michael Pritchard, who he's discussing that play with right there, were exactly the spark. There's Harold Hasselbeck right there at the defensive end. Look at him work against House Ballard, 75. He strings them, and he fills up on Ricky Waters.
And the kick. Hebron drifts over to his left, takes it at the goal line. Out to the 15 and down at the 17-yard line. And John Elway back on the field. Let's check in with Michelle Tapoya.
Well, guys, guess who I'm with? Floyd Little, who came into the day as Denver's all-time rushing touchdown leader. What did you say to Terrell after he broke your
I told him congratulations. I came down here to see him do that, and he's had a great career and a great year. So he's a good player, and it's a good guy to break the record.
Well, congratulations. At least you had your record broken by someone phenomenal. Thanks for joining us.
He's a good guy. I'm glad. Thank you.
Back to you, guys.
Now, Floyd Little's a touch of class. Out of Syracuse, number 44, right tackle, Harry Swain moved.
Before the snap, ball start, offense number 74, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, that's coming up right after the conclusion of our game, except on the West Coast, and we'll have a feature on the mayor of Moscow. And followed by Touched by an Angel and the CBS Sunday movie, A Marriage of Convenience. That's tonight's lineup on CBS. Blitz coming. Elway with a two-step setup. Flings it out to the left side and completes the pass to Rod Smith, a 14-yard gain, and that number 8 for Rod Smith tonight.
Yeah, there's some model cars that have great brakes, and some of the model cars have pretty good brakes. The Smith model's got pretty good brakes, at least a little better than the Willie Williams model, because when he went to that plant and that go, the Williams model brakes kind of blew out, and that was all set up by pretty good protection. Good effort by Chad Brown trying to get there, but Elway knew exactly where he wanted to go.
2nd and 2. 9:45 to go. Terrell Davis goes left. Watch out. Oh, boy. He was that close to being long gone. 12-yard gain.
What stands out and makes him so dangerous, you know, his size is great. Everything else is very good about this guy. Watch the feet of Terrell Davis. Not so much here and not so much in the hole, but when he sees it, the feet go, the contact, the feet keep going. More contact. He tries to keep the feet going. He's landing on his knees and he's trying to move his feet.
Greg McMacklin, the defensive coordinator, Seattle, said, 1, he's got great vision. 2, his feet never stop. Play fake for Elway. Pumps, goes left. Oh, just about picked off. Willie Williams, number 27. John Elway with that patented right and look back.
John Elway has spent the better part of the day today, Vern, going after Willie Williams. In that case, he was trying to get this ball to Shannon Sharp, who was lined up as a wide receiver, and Willie Williams again comes through with a nice big play. That's some resiliency. That's being a cornerback in the NFL. Things happen bad, you look bad, what do? You come back the next play and you do something good.
2nd and 10. Terrell Davis comes right, keeps the feet churning again, and he's out to the 47-yard line. 48, just short of the first down. Another 9-yard gain.
Remember the old Steve Martin routine about having happy feet? Terrell Davis runs with happy feet because when he gets in the worst situations, his feet move the fastest. And on that run, he was moving his feet fast until he started to go down. When he starts to go down, watch the feet speed up. He knows if I speed up the feet, I get more yards.
3rd and 1. Anthony Lynn comes in as a blocking back. He goes in front of Terrell Davis, who leans and has a first down at the Seattle 49-yard line. Terrell Davis with 125 yards now on 25 carries. 5th game out of 6th, and 5th in succession he's been over the 100-yard mark. And Harry Swain shaken up for the Denver Broncos, the right tackle. Tony Jones went out earlier, was on the bench for a while, and did manage to come back in, but now the right tackle, Harry Swain, shaken up.
Well, John Elway and the Broncos find themselves here in a 5-point game with about 8 minutes to go, and whether they win this game or not, I guarantee when they wake up tomorrow morning, they're going to remember the fact that they were in a very physical football game.
Time called to check on the injury. We'll be right back. 2 seconds short of 8 minutes remaining in this one. Now the clock starts. Rod Smith, who's had a big day, goes wide to the left. Ed McCaffrey is in the slot to the left. 1st and 10, Denver up by 5. Elway with a fake to Davis into the flat for Howard Griffith. Down the sidelines, good power, and gets out of bounds at the 41-yard line after an 8-yard gain. Let's go back to New York and check in with Jim Nance.
Yeah, hey, Vern, check this out. One of the ugliest performances in history. The Raiders with an NFL record, 16 punts today, but they bring in 39-year-old Wade Wilson with a minute and a half to go. His first touchdown pass in 3 years goes to Jet, and they lead, but the Chargers are driving. They're at the Raiders 40. Let's go back to Seattle.
That's the new Raider motto. Just win ugly, baby.
With Wade Wilson on in place of Donald Hollis. Here's the handoff to Davis. And he is down at the 36-yard line. Tackle made by Jay Bellamy. Terrell Davis now nearing 130 yards. Well, you start to think in terms, honestly, of Eric Dickerson's 1984 rushing record in the NFL. Only 3 men have ever gone over 2,000 yards in a season. He's a definite candidate.
A lot of it depends on what kind of football games the Denver Broncos get into for the rest of the year. I mean, the way they were blowing people out, can he do it? No, because he'd be out of the game for a quarter or so at a time at the end of ball games. But, Mike Shanahan will not hesitate to feed him the ball 25, 30 times a game.
I bet he gets it here. Astute observer of the National Football League that I am. He's down at the 35. Chad Brown, number 94. Well, among other highlights, Terrell Davis reached 5,000 yards in 50 games, and he did so not quite as quickly as Eric Dickerson, Earl Campbell, and Jim Brown, but he's 4th on the list.
Yeah, he's done something pretty special. It was funny listening to Floyd Little say, having the record broken by somebody that's had such a great career. He hadn't been here 4 years. He wouldn't even have a college career yet at the length he has. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done as fast as he's done it.
2nd and 8. 5:52 to go. Blitz coming. Elway back. Deep left side. Up in the air. Rod Smith. No! Willie Williams defending.
I'll say one thing for you, Willie. It hasn't been boring today over there at the right cornerback position. Remember how deep and how far off the ball Willie Williams was before? He starts out close. He kind of jogs to deep. He sprints to deeper. And Rod Smith still almost makes a beautiful circus catch. Watch the catch. The ball to the body. And the ball can't get from the hands to the body fast enough to make it a catch.
3rd and 8. Blitz coming from the corner. Elway tipped away by Jay Bellamy. Down.
Dennis Erickson told Michelle Tafoya, I love what my defense has done in the first half. If you love the first half, he's got to be nuts about what his defense is doing here in this second half.
Jason Elam kicking with a strained hamstring. Will try one from 53 yards away. The officials want to reset the clock. And I think the Broncos may have... Yep. The Broncos did ask for and were given a timeout. So time called with 5:39 remaining in regulation. Elam on the field.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Acura and by IBM.
During the timeout, the Broncos exercised their right to change their minds, and they've sent Tom Ruin on now. So Jason Elam will not attempt the field goal. Ruin will attempt the fine art of pooch punting. Snap is a little low. He sends it to the right, off the side of his foot. That was awful.
That was a dead shank right.
And it will be out of bounds at the 23. A 12-yard punt. We welcome those of you who've been watching the Oakland victory over the San Diego Chargers. The Wade Wilson pass to James Jett. Final there, 7-6. The score here is 21-16, and Tom Ruin just shanked one dead right, 12 yards. And the Seattle Seahawks, with John Freeze on in place of Warren Moon for the second week in a row, now have a chance to get their first lead of the ball game. The handoff goes to Waters, and he gets a couple. 60 minutes coming up, except in the West Coast, as soon as this game is in the bank, and we've got 5:20 to go.
Remember last time this offense was on the field with John Freeze, they moved down and got a touchdown by doing two things: freeing up Ricky Waters on the run and getting the receivers, especially Michael Pritchard, out in air.
Second down and 9. Freeze gets time, goes right, and he has Mike Pritchard again. Catch made by Pritchard for a gain of 13 and a first down, Seattle.
You saw that Michael Pritchard salute on that one play. We ran in there for a touchdown. That was kind of half mocking the Broncos. There's not another player on this Seahawk team that loved to beat his former team more than Michael Pritchard. Runs a very precise route and is the beneficiary of a real nice pass by John Freeze and a little momentum for the Seahawks.
John Freeze now 4 for 4. Here's the toss to Waters. Gets a block from Brian Blades. Cuts it back. Across the 40 to the 41. Blades with a nice block at the wide receiver position.
I talked a little while ago about the brake systems. You saw Rod Smith's great brake system on his pass and catch. Watch the brake system on Ricky Waters moving to his left. There's nothing here, folks. This is a good job by Darian Gordon and John Mobley. Just a great job of cutting back. And Ricky Waters sensed Ma Tanavasa, the defensive end, was out of position, and he just cut right back up into the hole where Tanavasa was.
Waters with 67 yards, 2nd and 6. 5-point deficit. Play fake, Freeze. He's perfect so far. He's still perfect. Galloway, first down at the 45-yard line. The catch made in front of Darian Gordon for 14 yards.
Dennis Erickson's offense, the last two possessions, the difference is night and day in just the physical body language and the way they're going about their business. They're precise, they're aggressive, and most of all, they're successful, something they weren't on a regular basis earlier today.
Erickson went with John Freeze. Again, he told us yesterday or Friday how comfortable he felt getting to take all the repetitions with the first team this week. Here's a pump fake. Freeze across the middle. Catch made at the 32. No! Wave it off, Christian Fourier. Thought he had it.
Oh, you've heard of the trickle-down theory? Watch Christian Fourier go out from the tight end position, basically check blitzing, check blitz blocking. Freeze sees him late. Here's the trickle-down. Trickles from the hands, trickles to the chest, and trickles to the ground.
You're an economics major. We need you. 2nd and 10. Walter Jones, left tackle.
Before the snap, ball start, offense number 71. 5-yard penalty is still 2nd down.
Vern, sometimes you've got to be successful in spite of yourself. And Walter Jones at left tackle right there starts early. And the Seahawks right now, in spite of dropping a pass, in spite of jumping off sides, have to find a way to win in spite of trying to beat themselves with those 12 penalties for 93 yards.
Last week they had 12 in the rainstorm in Kansas City. 12 today.
It's almost a Raider-esque number.
Yeah, it is. 24 in 2 weeks now. 3 wide receiver set. Joey Galloway starts in motion, followed by Gordon. Freeze is 5 for 5. 5 for 6, beg your pardon. Now he's 6 for 7 as Fourier hangs on to this one at the 36-yard line. Now let's go back and check in with Jim Nance.
This might look familiar to you two. Remember last week the Raiders' opponent, the Cardinals, bypassed a 56-yard field goal in the last play of the game. Here San Diego decides to go against the Carney 55-yard attempt, trying to pick up the first on 4th and 7, but Means is a foot short, and the Raiders win it again, even though they punted today an all-time high 16 times. Back to you.
All right, Jimmy. That does look all too familiar, their win over Arizona last week. 3rd down here. Ricky Waters, quick toss. Waters chased by Braxton. First down inside the 30. Tyrone Braxton, but Waters picks up 8. 1st and 10, Seattle.
Look what Ricky Waters sees. He's got a man here, but he sees nothing here. There's a wall. Give me a quick toss. Believe me, they can't catch him. There is nobody there. Slow reaction to the outside by the linebacker that is there. A nice block down the field by the receiver, Blades. And, you know, in spite of the penalties, in spite of the problems, Seattle's driving with about 2:45 to go.
They need a touchdown. Pritchard in motion. John Freeze hands it off to Waters. And he is stopped as he gets just inside the 30 by Darius Johnson, who is playing now in place of Ray Crockett. Crockett injured an ankle back in the first half of play.
That's the one thing can definitely be said about this football game. Denver has made some mistakes, and Denver has not been at the top of their game. But Denver's going to come out of here with an awful lot of dings and bruises, not only on the defensive side, but also on the offensive line specifically. This has been a very, very costly game so far for Mike Shanahan and the defending world champions.
9th play of the drive, 21-16 Denver. The reverse, Joey Galloway. He's got blockers in front, but a good job by Romanowski. First of all, Galloway's still alive, and he picks up 2 yards. It was Bill Romanowski who forced him back toward the sideline.
That's the 2-minute warning with 1:56
Those
on the
are
clock.
some serious power breaks on that model Joey Galloway out of Ohio State.
2-minute warning. 1:56 left in regulation, and the Seattle Seahawks trying to win for the first time in the last 5 games against the Broncos. Trail by 5. 3rd and 9 at the 28. They missed a 2-point conversion when they got the touchdown to Pritchard, thus the 5-point deficit. And they will go out of the shotgun on 3rd and 9. Broncos blitz. Freeze gets protection. It's intercepted, picked up by Glenn Cadrez. Oh, mercy! And a flag is going to be thrown. Smith and Freeze were having at each other verbally.
The penalty is going to be against Smith for Broncos, but you know what? That'll be after that interception. John Freeze didn't see Glenn Cadrez. Glenn Cadrez did not even have to jump for that pass. That pass was just over his head and a perfect spiral and an easy
After the
pick.
play was over, taunting by Denver, number 90. It's a 15-yard penalty. Denver keeps the ball, first down.
John Freeze explaining on the sideline. There's Glenn Cadrez into the blitz, backs out of the blitz, and the ball is right into his arms. John Freeze had to be thinking man-to-man coverage. He saw that many linebackers up blitzing, and what he had was a zone blitz. And Cadrez started the blitz and then backed right out of it.
John Freeze trying to explain things on the sideline.
Well, the hardest part about what he had to look at, though, was not so much the defensive line, but it was the linebackers. Look, here's Cadrez and company on this side of the ball. Here's Cadrez right there. Watch what he does initially. He comes up, he blitzes, and then when he blitzes, he backs back out. And Freeze tries to throw that little curl pattern, and he threw it right into the spot that Cadrez backed out into.
First career interception for Glenn Cadrez. Sends Freeze to the sideline. And the Broncos take over with 1:49, and they'll let Terrell Davis work on the clock now. Seattle has all 3 timeouts left. They'll spend one of them after this first down
Timeout
play.
Seattle. That's their first charge team timeout. 30-second timeout.
Yeah, this is a 2 first down and the clock goes away situation. The other guy's got 3 timeouts, 2 first downs, the game's over.
Coming up next Sunday, the NFL on CBS, Week 7, as we near the midway point of this 1998 season. Most of you will see Baltimore and Pittsburgh early, 1 o'clock Eastern time. And at 4 o'clock Eastern time, the Indianapolis Colts go into San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And Randy and I will be down there to see that one. That's next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern or 4:05 Eastern. Now, John Elway, 1:42 to go. When he was in the 5th grade, his dad, Jack, was an assistant coach at Montana in Missoula. Dennis Erickson's dad, Pink Erickson, was a coach. And they both watched John Elway play little grizzly football. He was a linebacker and running back. Quarterback came later. And he hands it off to Terrell Davis. This will be the second. And if they hold on to win, they'll go 6-0 and equal the 1990 49ers as the only defending. Well, the Chicago Bears did it as well, I beg your pardon, in 1986.
Right, the San Francisco 49ers in 90 ended up 10-0. That was the year, if you remember, that the Niners went back to the championship game and didn't fare too well in that fumble by Roger Craig, but this team in Denver right now, Mike Shanahan, is going to escape Seattle. Having not played a great game, it made enough plays to be successful. And that's the biggest play that was made was by Glenn Cadrez at the end, really sealing Seattle's fate.
In his 7th year, his first interception. Coming up tonight on 60 Minutes, we'll feature the mayor of Moscow. And 60 Minutes seen in its entirety as soon as this game is over, except on the West Coast, when you'll see it at its regular time. Then Touched by an Angel and the CBS Sunday movie, A Marriage of Convenience. 3rd down, Terrell Davis. Watch out. Foot race. He could be gone. Willie Williams gives chase. Terrell Davis flies down the sidelines and is stopped at the 5. All he did was gain 70. All he has done is go over 200 yards.
Terrell Davis makes this play, well, because he's Terrell Davis. A good lead block by Howard Griffith, but right there, it's wide open attack defense, and when you're taking those chances, you're going to give Terrell Davis a chance to make that kind of a run. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks coaches know they're taking a chance, and right about now, they know they've paid the price. Dennis Erickson can't even look.
Terrell Davis has to draw a breath. How's this for an average evening? 208 yards on 30 carries. He's closing in on his career high of 215.
I mean, man, remember, this guy came into the game at 657 yards. Now 208 on top of that. How often do you see a running back go over to the 1,000-yard mark 6-7 weeks into the season?
Well, his average yards per carry today, 6.9. And that one seals it. 1st and goal for the Denver Broncos, who come in here and will heave sighs of relief, I would think, when they get out of here with a 5-point victory or more than that if they score.
And very important for Mike Shanahan's football team is they have a bye next week, because this team is hurting. You've got more than half a dozen people that have limped around on this football team for Mike Shanahan. They're going to need the bye next week. They're going to need that time to recover, and Mike Shanahan's going to give them some time off.
John Elway rolls out and finally kneels down.
I think that's a class move, really, by Mike Shanahan. There's a lot of coaches out there that would just keep on going and say, hey, look, we didn't pour it on. We were just running our offense.
Well, the bye week for the Broncos next week. Means another knee surgery for Mark Schlereth. Open date then. How about this one? Jacksonville at home. That one on CBS. Then at Cincinnati. They get San Diego, at Kansas City, and Oakland. And for Dennis Erickson, a 3-0 start. And the enthusiasm from that 3-0 start all but evaporated now with 3 straight defeats.
And more importantly, back-to-back division losses to Kansas City and now to Denver. And this is a football team that was specifically put together to beat the Denver Broncos. Millions and millions of dollars spent signing free agents the last year or two to beat the Denver Broncos and knock them off their perch. You know what's scary about the Denver Broncos, though, when you think about what they've done last year and a half? They are defending world champions, but they're not defending AFC West champions. Kansas City won the division last year.
Gives them something to shoot for. Mike Shanahan's team will go 6-0 and enjoy the week off. The Seattle Seahawks fall to 3-3. They get the bye, then they're on the road at San Diego, and they get Oakland at home.
Well, we've seen the college game and the pro game. Top teams play ugly and lose. Denver find a way to play ugly and win.
Final score 21-16. The Broncos remain undefeated. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's 60 Minutes. So for Randy Cross and Michelle Tafoya, I'm Vern Lundquist saying so long from the Kingdom, where Denver wins its 5th straight over the Seattle Seahawks. 21-16, the final. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.